Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with an update on what's going on and the forecast update that you need. Please drop any questions that you have in the comments here on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and get started with what you need to know, as severe weather quite likely tonight should storms form. The latest
Now,
is very...
a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right, we do have that tornado watch in effect. Let's go ahead and see where things are firing out near the big lake in Montana, Fort Peck Reservoir on the western edge. A line of storms out there that are very windy could be producing some hail up to 1 inch in diameter heading toward the west end of the lake right now. Now, in South Dakota, not far from Chamberlain, a hail-producing cell is making its way through, and as of right now, nothing severe firing yet in the tornado watch area of central North Dakota. Here's the Chamberlain, South Dakota I-90 storm that's working its way right toward the pre-show area, or the pre-show area. It's working its way up to the east-northeast right now. There are some hail reports with this cell, so prepare for 1/2 to 1 inch diameter hail and gusts of wind of about 50 miles per hour. And the National Weather Service out there says that this is a 1 inch diameter hail threat and 60 mile per hour wind threat. And just north of Valentine, Nebraska, a hail producing cell that you can see in blue there, moving off to the east northeast, as is the case. Now, as you look in on Montana here, the Fort Peck Reservoir area west of Jordan, Montana, has this Boeing line segment here. Gusty wind is likely along the leading edge of this path. Not everybody's going to see those 60 mile per hour winds, but that is the threat. Here is a look at that watch that's in effect for our particular area one more time here before we get going into the forecast, because it's interesting. The central part of North Dakota, all the way from Dickinson in Stark County, we're talking Hettinger down here, and Lemon, South Dakota area, all the way up into the Devil's Lake Basin, Langdon, and Walhalla at this particular time, all under that tornado watch until 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's one real cool thing to look at here that helps you see a little bit with your mind's eye what's going on in the layers of our atmosphere as we go up. The visible satellite imagery here showing we do have this light south wind, and some of these lower clouds are moving up to the north and back out to the west out there in the western side of the state. Meanwhile, in the mid-levels of the atmosphere and the upper atmosphere, that wind's coming from an almost opposite direction. That is called wind shear. That's causing the air over western North Dakota near Stark County right now to roll just like this, like you see my hand. You put a thunderstorm in the middle of that, and if it starts firing up with an updraft, it stretched that rolling updraft into the atmosphere, and we can get those rotating thunderstorms to develop. These storms firing quite impressively out to the west. I expect ours will do the same as we get some energy from the mid-levels of the atmosphere to support our system here a little bit later. Sylvia asking, what are the chances of a tornado or high winds in Rolla, North Dakota? Sylvia, I got to tell you what, in the watch area, which I'll put up here for you once again, you are in the watch area in the Rolla area. Keep this in mind. We cannot tell you where any one thunderstorm will form, but what we can give you an idea of is the general timing and track of where we think the storms will form. Once they start forming, then we can better track them in what we call nowcasting, and I'll be here to nowcast for you. Just know this. If storms fire in or near your area, you are in an environment where a tornado could be possible tonight, but we can't tell you that one will hit any one community more than any other community. So it doesn't mean we're going to have widespread numerous tornadoes. In fact, the greatest risk from tonight's storm threat is going to be that hail. Let's go take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast. I know you want more information on this, and I'm going to go through not one, but 3 models real quickly here to show you some differences, but also some similarities that we can draw on to give us a better estimate of timing of these storms, should they develop, and when they could ride through your neck of the woods. Now, this is an hourly updated model here, and as we take a look at the very latest model run from this one, you're going to see things very, very quiet with just a couple meandering storms in the watch area for the tornado watch as we go through about that 8 to 10 o'clock time frame. Then as we approach the midnight hour, this line starts making its way through the Red River Valley. So The best chance of storms on this model, just a couple of isolated cells. Things might be capped down here on the southern part. We'll look at that in a second with my analysis tools. And it shows a line of storms with a Boeing line segment moving through the Devil's Lake Basin and the Highway 2 corridor, blasting through Grand Forks and then Fargo as we cross into about the 7Z time frame. That's after midnight, folks. 1 to 2 in the morning is an estimate there. And if you happen to be in Rolla, the storm chances on this model say just after around that 8 to 10 o'clock time frame for you. Keep in mind, though, this isn't the only model in town. Let me show you this puppy. A little bit different here with the evolution of the storms as we go through the evening hours. Pardon me. Notice the formation of the storms all the way north near the international border, and it's moving southward. So here you go. If you happen to be in Towner County, you're in the mix here, all the way back into the Minot area in the mix on the Highway 2 corridor and eventually the Highway 200 corridor. Notice this sharp line here. That's outflow from this batch of thunderstorms, and that could mean some gusty winds from the north in this case. It looked like the models had this system moving more west to east yesterday, but these puppies can have a mind of their own as they go through. Then watch what happens. It blasts down through Bismarck as we go into that 10 o'clock time frame and works its way out into the Southern Valley. And then look at this. It says, nope, we're going to go down Interstate 94 here for a little while and take a ride out toward the Twin Cities before dissipating in the morning. So I'd call this a zigzag track right down through the south, and then boom, a couple of wiggles and a wobble all the way into the Twin Cities with the time frame of arrival in and around the southern Red River Valley here, just about at that midnight to 2 a.m. time frame once again. One more model in here of one that I think has done a pretty reasonable job of the thunderstorm forecast over the last couple of rounds, showing this formation in the Northern Valley. We're talking Cavalier, Langdon, Walhalla, all the way back through Towner County, Rock Lake, and you folks in Candu, right into Minot. Now, notice there's some isolated or discrete cells here. This one's already formed down near the Chamberlain area. This model has depicted that storm, and this model was run at 6 a.m. this morning. That's when it started. So it's already off to a better start than some of the other models that were run more recently. Dale, thank you much. Is Hendrum going to get it? You know what? There's a chance anyone in this area, we can't tell what town is going to have the worst threat. But right now, the greatest risk is with these early developing storms between 6 and about 10 p.m. tonight, along and north of Highway 2. This model says they track right on and over the Devil's Lake Basin. If you're camping out there on this weekend, please be aware these could be nasty storms, and plan now on where you can go to stay safe, to seek shelter. Getting out of the park model homes, the manufactured homes, know where you can go right now should a warning be issued. As we continue to carry this storm cell forecast on this model, this one carries it through the northern Red River Valley. This does include you folks in Nelson County, Walsh County, for Park River and Lankin, all the way up to Grafton and out towards the Drayton area. See the backwards C shape? As we get into the deep hours of the night, the main threat will likely be gusty straight line winds with these storms. This one has two distinct areas of activity, one pushing through southern Minnesota on the I-90 corridor, and this one moving along the Highway 200 corridor through central Minnesota before dissipating in the morning. But very heavy rain locally in southern Minnesota could exacerbate the flooding problems there. You're welcome, Dale. Thank you for your question, by the way. I do appreciate it. Let me see if I've got some more. Thanks, Paul, for sharing stars. Jekka, thank you for watching. I appreciate you from the Dilworth area. Let's see. Minto, questions, anybody? Let's see. What about Brainerd tomorrow having an outdoor event? Let's carry this model out just a little bit farther. This has been a pretty good model. The risk for severe weather tomorrow, South Dakota into southern Minnesota. Here's Saturday as we approach the noon hour. Here's noon. It's fun. It's awesome. It's swell. All right. Then as we go into the afternoon hours, the heat of the day will be on. Many of us will be in the 80 to 90 degree temperature regime across our entire tri-state region. That includes you for the quad state region, Montana, and also up in parts of northeastern Wyoming. Do you see these storms forming on this boundary right here? Anywhere from, say, the southern Red River Valley and right through Lakes Country here, southern Otter Tail County, Wadena County, and on in towards the Hubbard County area. We'll have a chance at a few of these storms forming. And in fact, they do fester up and move into northern parts of Wisconsin as well for some weather there. Active weather could continue in southern Minnesota into Sunday and Iowa as well, as we enjoy a break and a cooler splash of air on your Sunday. So that's a quick look. What about the Brainerd area? There you go, Carly. I hope that helps answer your question. Now let's take a look at these risks, and I want to highlight from what the Storm Prediction Center is saying with tonight's risk of severe weather. So back to Hutch's radar we go. We click on the button, Shazam, here we go. Now we got the severe storm out in Montana. Nothing severe yet in parts of central North Dakota, but the atmosphere is a loaded keg, if you will. The warmer air, more volatile down in South Dakota right now. Here is an analysis for you about where the atmosphere has the most upward motion right now. This is where we could get some of this ginormous monster hail we've been hearing about. We're talking 4-inch diameter hail that went out with this watch issued for central North Dakota. 4-inch diameter. You know what? You had almost that in Jamestown the other night. We do not need a repeat performance of that. Where does the atmosphere have that kind of energy for upward vertical motion? So let's take a look at this here as we go ahead and take a look. I'm looking for it here. Pardon me. It's called convective energy in the atmosphere, convective potential energy, or CAPE. See the pink area here? That is the area where we have the most energy, and this is measured in joules per kilogram. Temperatures did reach very warm values near 90 degrees in Bismarck. That hot air is ready to explode and go upward and upward and onward to create those big hailstones. That's where the core of the hail energy is. Looking out towards Minot, it drops off that energy, and up into Brandon, Manitoba, it's a little bit lower. So why aren't the storms firing where the powder keg is? Notice right here it has. Guess what might be missing from the equation? Guess what might be on its way? That's moisture. So as we take a look at the humidity down in the lower levels measured by the dew point temperature, look at where the storms are firing right here. We have dew points near 70 degrees right on this side. So as the south winds start scooping up with the approach of this system from the west and dig into this moist air, this could take off pretty volatilely, or it might not. Is there some energy called a cap? If you have a rising bubble of air and it runs into a stable layer of air that doesn't want to move, it's kind of like running into a wall, right? That stops the storm from growing vertically. That's called a cap. So if we have a stable layer in the atmosphere, that could inhibit the growth of those thunderstorms. Let me show you what that is and where the energy for the cap is the greatest. So as we look around, the colors that you see here are where we do have caps, and we do have one here in the valley. And out to the west, there's not much of an inhibitive cap right now. And in fact, where we do see the storm that's really taken off here, not far from Chamberlain on the I-90 corridor, that area has a low cap. So there's not a lot of cap out there right now. There is some in parts of South Dakota, and that is about it with regards to that. So here's a look at the single site radar data. We'll take a look at the storms up near the Minot area just to show you they are starting to get a little bit redder as we take you in just a little closer. Pardon me while I select the correct radar here. So let's take a look at these cells that are just out to the east of the Minot area near Velva and down near Max. That's a tough one to spell. Max, M-A-C, no, M-A-X. Okay, now as we take a look at the velocity display here, well, thank you for your stars. I can hear them clicking here, and thank you so much. Russell, hi, Mr. Russell, how are you? Thank you for saying hello. And Deborah, thanks for the stars. Also want to throw a shout out to Julie for sending stars on the Facebook channel. All these stars go to help expand Hutch's weather, and I have exciting news with regards to that coming to a broadcast of mine near you soon. Let's take a look at the spin in the storm here and see if this is detecting any in the early stages. As we take a look at this, we're looking at the storm relative velocity inside the storm. Not organized yet. It's the storms are starting to form. How tall are they getting? Let's look at the cloud top estimates by the Doppler radar. Ooh, that Velva storm is towering up, and I'll bet you from a distance that bad boy looks pretty good. How about Kenmare up to the left side? We'll take a look in a second, but this one's getting pretty tall, and I can hear you asking, Hutch, how tall is it? Is it taller than you? Well, yeah, it's taller than 6'4". It's about 46,000 feet, and we got about 40,000 feet here south of the Benedict area and just off to the east of that Highway 83 corridor there, off on outside of Max. So not far from the areas there in the Minot region, we do have some towers building. Is it showing up on the visible satellite imagery right here? Start seeing this. You can see this whole area starting to show some lift and rising air right here. So this area right here along this boundary where the low-level clouds are moving this way and the upper-level clouds are moving in the opposite way, that's in a volatile area. D, thanks for the stars. Thanks so very, very much. Dana, thanks for joining me. It says, it looks like Dana's asking about the burn, Washburn. Well, you're in that shear area as well, and these storms are going to be developing on a line somewhat close to you. So we'll watch that for you real quickly here on Hutch's weather. Is it Brianna? Thank you so very much for sharing your stars with me here on Hutch's weather. Where are y'all watching from? Whether it's on the YouTube channel or Facebook, we'll keep you updated right here. Kathy, I'm not going to stay live while things are not firing, but we will keep our eyes on this little cluster of cells just outside of Velva right now. And one thing I want to do is take a look from a camera. And let's go ahead of the North Dakota road cameras, because sometimes those out there in North Dakota where there is kind of a lack of trees compared to Minnesota can be very valuable in seeing what's going on down yonder. Oh, this is a beautiful shot here. We got the big building kind of in the way, but there's some lower clouds that are feeding into a thunderstorm there in the distance. Let's look off in the other direction. Now we're looking right across Highway 83 here, the 4-lane corridor there. Wind tower and Shazam. Looks like there's some dark skies, but nothing too ominous in this direction of this particular camera right here. Going in just a wee bit closer there, eh? Let's take a look at this cell that's, well, let's look from Cole Harbor. Okay, we got dark skies aplenty up there, but there's also some sunshine shining through. As we take a look from this view here, we see what looks like a vehicle maybe taking in some chasing opportunities, watching for towers to develop. That's what it looks like to old Hutch. That's what that is. So we got us a storm chaser out there kind of keeping his eyes on the skies right there along the firing boundary. As we look out towards White Shield here, that camera showing a lot of clear skies until we look off, I'm assuming in the westerly direction, and it's showing the latest from there. How about us in Fargo? Lori, I just did the forecast here just a second ago, and the storm chances here will be after dark 30. We're talking about 10, actually maybe closer to after midnight, midnight to 2 a.m. These storms can and sometimes do speed up just a wee bit, so we got to keep that in mind. If you hear storms overnight, though, just turn on Hutch Johnson here. Head to hutchesweather.com and you can get the latest. So if we take you there now, two things I want to ask you to do. Thing one, see this, emails from Hutch, sign up for it. I don't blast you with emails every 10 minutes saying, hey, this is Hutch, I got a temperature for you. Nope, it's only for when the weather is at its worst. Then we're at our best covering it for you right here. Deb, thanks for watching. It's a good thing to have you on board. Brandon, thank you for watching. Is Moorhead going to get storms? It looks like between midnight and 2 a.m. there's a chance of storms here in Moorhead. Wind will be the main threat. The tornado threat should be diminishing as we cross out of the midnight time frame. I'll keep you posted on that though. So as we take a look at hutchesweather.com, you will see, if I'm going live here at the top of the page, that there'll be a little bit of a update for you at the top that shows that information. Let's see I know what's going on here. Let me go ahead and open this back up. All right, so here we go, and let's go here, and let's go here. And all right, so now what we got going on here on our area is the latest video that I've got uploaded there for you, as well as, you could sign up your kids to help Hutch figure out this wild and crazy weather. This is where everyone has done so much good in helping Hutch figure out the weather. Uploading your pics or view the gallery. If you have damage, stormy weather, clouds to report, or anything, you can go ahead and post that right here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't show this from the Enderlin area again. This is from a front door camera in Enderlin, North Dakota, last Friday night as the storms blasted through or near town there. This is the storm that caused the loss of life out there, and our hearts and prayers go out to those people. Nothing scarier than seeing something like this at night, but the almost constant lightning that was produced by this supercell thunderstorm here as it made its way through. Well, it was because of that you could make out clearly what we call a wall cloud here. Here's the base of the thunderstorm. This is a lowering of that thunderstorm base almost down to the ground. This tornado had a 1 mile wide path at its widest path there. Tracy, that is indeed Enderlin. And just look, you can make out the outline here. And from time to time near the end of the video, you can see here that you can see the underside of the cloud here. So you know that there is some clearing under the cloud with the lightning going on behind it, meaning it's not just a solid tornado on the ground. That makes this the wall cloud making its way through, and that was the Enderlin area. So thanks to all of you who have taken the time to upload photos. And oh, hammered with hail was Jamestown. Thank you so much, Heather, for sharing this. I hope everybody's had a chance to pick up, and I certainly hope that no one basically has any issues with what's going on tonight. There can be nights like this where we give you a heads up and absolutely nothing happens. So I want to report that that's a possibility as well. But the atmosphere has the ingredients, and they're all the ingredients necessary to make huge hail, over 3, maybe 4 inches in diameter tonight, gusty straight line winds in excess of 80 miles per hour, and we could see a few funnel clouds and tornadoes. There is some spin and some shear in the atmosphere. Speaking of which, this is a view from Valley City of a rain-wrapped tornado right off in the distance that you can see there. So again, Scott, thank you for sharing your photos from what you witnessed as you went through Friday evening as those storms blasted their way through. And this is a look from Lisbon at the Enderlin storm. So from the other side as it was approaching, I'll tell you what, I have a video that I'll send you a link to in the comments here that is on my YouTube channel. And I would just love for you to take a look at that video. And it describes why I feel that this monster supercell storm and one other monster supercell storm were swallowed up by that echoing line of storms, that bow echoing line of storms called the derecho. And that derecho may have saved the communities downwind from Enderlin from that tornado damage. Those storms got wiped out and obliterated by that leading edge of the outflow of that derecho. Now, that derecho was terrible. As we saw, it caused straight line wind damage all the way into the eastern side of Minnesota and into parts of Michigan as well. So, bottom line, here's your forecast. For tonight, temperatures dip down into the 60s. The storms will be dipping down into parts of southern Minnesota as we go into the morning. Your Saturday looks delightful. Get out and enjoy. But by the afternoon, this area here brings that chance of severe weather as we go through, and the chance of severe storms will push their way out toward the Twin Cities. Western North Dakota, central North Dakota, you get a day off from the severe weather the way it's looking right now on your Saturday. McQuaid's going on in Bismarck. Always gets nailed. I know. That's where Hutch broke his shoulder playing softball at the McQuaid's tournament back there when I worked out in the Bismarck area. Indeed, that storm was absolutely tragic and devastating, Jeannie. Unbelievable power that Mother Nature has. And when we think about a 1 mile wide, ginormous tornado, it's nothing compared to the size of a winter storm that impacts many communities. But the devastation is just exacerbated by the winds over 100, over 200, and sometimes in rare occasions over 300 miles per hour. So Renee, hi, good to have you on board. Roxanne, thanks for watching. So that's a look at what's going on. Let's take a look at that risk for severe weather as we go through, but let's take the 7-day first. 88-degree day on your Saturday, Fargo, Grand Forks, and off to the west. It looks even hotter for some of you. Just got on from Bemidji. Good to have you on, Bonnie. Thank you for watching. If you missed some comments here, you're invited when this is over to head back in and check out the latest. This is not going to be one of them 4-hour marathons from Hutch because we don't have severe thunderstorms yet. There's a couple trying to form out there near Lake Sakakawea. Tomorrow, the severe weather risk will be south of Grand Forks and it'll be south of Fargo in all likelihood, in southeasternmost North Dakota, eastern South Dakota, and off into Minnesota. Temperatures cool off as we go through the early part of the week, and that includes the 1st of July. And you know what follows the 1st is the 2nd, then the 3rd, and then the 4th, Independence Day. And to me, that looks like it could be our next chance of organized storms. Doesn't look widespread, but I've got it highlighted that oftentimes around the 4th of July, we get some storms here, and it wouldn't surprise me models are advertising a little bit of unsettled weather. Back to the radar, let's look at that Saturday risk of severe storms as well as the risk for today. We're going to go through today first. The Storm Prediction Center has created an enhanced area of severe weather. We expect, should storms start to fire, numerous severe storms monster hail up to 4 inches in diameter. Gusty winds from the storms will stretch all the way out into the southern valley where you see the yellows here. So the yellows is a level 2 on the 5-level severe weather scale. So we could still see hail and damaging straight line winds, and isolated tornado cannot be ruled out, I believe, in our western counties. And we could still have some very gusty wind potential from the storms as we go later. This does include Fergus Falls for that slight risk, and the Cormorant Lakes area and parts of southwestern Becker County and all of South Dakota. So this is the area where the main concern is. Let me clear up my little mess that's going on my timestamp line there. Enhanced risk. Level 3 of 5. All modes of severe weather possible. This is where the greatest chance for some tornadoes will be. And speaking thereof, let's go ahead and plot that risk for you now. From the Storm Prediction Center, they spend all day. They're in Norman, Oklahoma, right in the middle of Tornado Alley. It's their job to highlight areas across the nation where thunderstorms may be a factor, and they do very, very well at it. Now, here's a look at the significant tornado possibility, and you see nothing on the map because we do not have the risk of the same kind of strong tornadoes that we saw last week, or at least as high of a risk. But we do have a risk of tornadoes, and here's where that risk is greatest. And it's extended to the north now, where we see that line forming up to the north near Max. So this area in brown is a 5% risk of seeing a tornado. It doesn't mean you're going to see one. It doesn't mean every county's going to see one. It's just that's where most of the ingredients are coming together to give us that enhanced chance there. It's surrounded by green that includes Devil's Lake, Valley City, all the way down into the Oaks area, as well as Lemoore County. So if you're in these areas, you had a 2% risk of seeing the chance of a tornado. Grant County on the left-hand side here, there is your Oliver County is in the 5% risk here in the brown, but you get out towards Mercer County there for you and Hazen and you and Beulah. It looks like you, Hazen and Beulah, having a chance, a 2% chance at seeing an isolated tornado. The other risks that could be involved here tonight, look at this. This is a significant risk of hail. The hatched area means we could see some monster size hail all the way from Jamestown, all the way out to western parts of Morton County, and from Minot all the way down to Pierce, South Dakota, where those storms are rumbling along the I-90 corridor down there. And this is for huge hail. Now, there's still a hail risk as we look at the hail risk elsewhere. This is for the most huge hail potential, but the hail probability is very high here, and it extends all the way out here. Do you see this number there? That is a 30% chance of hail within 25 miles from any point on that area. So again, 30% of this area could see pretty good sized hail. 15% right up into the doorstep of Fargo, and for Fargo, Grand Forks, Fergus Falls, Detroit Lakes, all the way out to Monoman and Polk County, Thief River Falls, Red Lake Falls, and out towards Grigla and Roseau County here. The brown, that is a line that indicates, I believe, 10%. Let me double check that. And it's 5%. I take that back. That's the 5% risk area for some large hail. So that is a look there at what we have going on with the hail threat. Now, the damaging straight line wind probability goes out all the way to Minneapolis. Much like the storms that happened last week, I don't expect the 120 plus mile per hour winds that we had that other night, but we could have strong winds even into the overnight. The threat for wind damage, Fargo, Grand Forks, straight down to Millbank and all the way in towards Wilmer. And if you look on the I-94 corridor, it does include you in Douglas County. So Alexandria points south towards Morris and Benson, all of Otter Tail County in the southwestern corner. The yellow is an area risk of 15% of seeing damaging straight line winds within 25 miles of a point. Southern parts of the state of Michigan, the mitten of Michigan over here, having that risk as well. Thanks, Roxanne. Thanks, Weather Odyssey, for joining that in the neighborhood down here in Siouxland. Okay, so if you look down to the south here, you could have active weather, and you do have active weather on the radar right now. As you look down to the south, here's a look at the latest radar now as we get ready to head out. Severe storms out there just off to the west of the Chamberlain area. It looks like I've got some sort of a red icon. Is that a tornado? Funnel cloud sighted with this storm right here, right on the I-90 corridor there, just west of Presho on 83 as well. So the Highway 83 intersection with Interstate 90 here is where that happened. So there was a funnel cloud sighting up there, and that was a train spotter, came down, lifted right back up, but it was there. So that's what's going on. The hail core right now south of I-90. It's moving in a general east-northeasterly direction towards Kennebec and Reliance in the upcoming few minutes. Elsewhere, the Montana storms are continuing to work their way, and now we've got a thunderstorm warning for you folks in Glasgow. This includes Fort Peck, the town here where the dam is. We have Glasgow, and we have the western edges areas west. This storm is moving off to the east and will be heading towards the Glasgow area at 7:22, and Nashua, the turnoff out there for the Fort Peck Reservoir, it looks like at 7:40. As you continue to see those storms, the main threat there will be some hail up to 1-inch diameter and the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Somebody's saying, Jasmine, there is a tornado watch until 1 a.m. So just to be clear, we got a heater starting to form. We have our first severe thunderstorm warning for that cell that was forming here near Velva, that 40+ thousand foot one, now creating some big hail. Heading towards Carlsruhe right now and the Granville area and points south. So the first thunderstorm warning is up here. We do have a considerable damage threat with 1 3/4-inch diameter hail possible from this cell right here. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. As we take a look at the closest radar data that Hutch has for this, that storm again, mainly the hail threat right now and some gusty straight line wind potential with the cell as it works its way through. I'm going to pull up the Deering radar and let's go to the single site radar data here from Deering. There we go. Okay, so as this pulls up, look at how close it is to the radar site. Extremely excellent data. Do you see this bite taken out of the storm down here? Somebody ain't hungry. That is likely the rotating part of the cell. The updraft part going up into the storm here, that spin in the updraft acts like a centrifuge, throwing raindrops and hailstones out of that rotating core, and you get enhanced echoes on the outside and a weak bounded echo region in here, and that area is where we are seeing that, well, maybe there is some shear, but look at the ginormity of the hail potential with this just east of Highway 41, luckily passing north of the Carlsruhe area right now. As this storm is also just developing, it's probably a slow mover, only moving at 23 miles per hour. So areas south of Towner, it's heading in the general direction of you folks in the Rugby area. That is a severe storm. Notice it's got some cousins down here to the south that are starting to beef up just east of Max and just west of Max. These will all be moving east-northeast now at that 20-mile-per-hour clip. We have our first lightning detection from the lightning detection network here just a few minutes ago with that storm, about 11 minutes ago. Let's take a look at the spin in this cell and see what we can see with regards to that shear in the storm. Nothing terribly organized, but on the south side of the storm here, right where we saw that little hook, you got wind moving toward the radar here in the green and wind moving away from the Deering radar in the red. So there is some signs of shear in that. And the basics on this storm is the main threat is going to be that huge hail along and north of Carlsruhe as it works its way off to the east. Again, 23-mile-per-hour movement. Let's go ahead and put the regular radar data back up so you can see. I will time this hail core out for you with its speed of movement. Let me see if we can put the loop up here. Sometimes this takes a second to load, but you can kind of see it's been developing, it's evolving. The hail core is getting even stronger. There's this little finger hanging off the back of the storm. This one has a little appendage on the back of it as well. It's starting to have this little notch on the front end of it. In other words, the south half of this storm is likely going to begin rotating in this counterclockwise direction, and the north half might be rotating in the other half. That's called a V notch. So it's taking on some pretty distinct severe weather features with that storm. It's pretty clear at this time as well. If I do take a look at some of my other radar products, but I promised you a leading edge track. Okay, it's still looping here. Let's let it loop so you can see it's literally forming in this same area here and then expanding slowly off to the north and to the east. So there you have that. Now, if we take a look at this leading edge of the hail core with this storm, it is extremely close to Carlsruhe, but mainly to the just north of town. Moving at about 25 miles per hour, we'll put it in Carlsruhe by about 6:58. Your timestamp, I apologize, is 6:55. So it will be in Carlsruhe and points north now, and then moving into rural areas of the Highway 14 corridor just south of the Towner area. If you've heard of my friend Tom Schrader, Hey Tom is on. he's likely got you covered on all this weather up and around Minot. He's been doing it up in this area for decades. Tom and I were co-workers out at some stations out there in the western part and central part of North Dakota. 3 more heaters, and this guy looks like the strong one moving in on Oliver County Center. You've got a pretty good-sized storm right now pushing its way into your area. It's developing over the western regions of your county. We do have that little hook on it, or a little notch there. Again, you're seeing that similar V notch on the other side of this storm, meaning it could be starting to take on that rotating updraft type of a shape. If we do take a look at the hail markers with this particular storm here, my software will go ahead and give me a hail tracker and a hail chance of severe hail estimate here. So as we look at this storm right here, you can go ahead and take a peek at what these colors mean. But where it's blue, there's about a 60% chance of severe sized hail, 1 inch and greater, in this evolving storm in western parts of Oliver County and just south of you folks in Beulah on the Mercer County line there. So that's what's going on there. When we look at this heater up here near Carlsruhe, what's the hail size? It's greater than 100% chance of monster hail from this storm cell. And if I do take a look at the hail size estimates and wind gust estimates, that too can give us an idea. When a storm has updrafts strong enough to support hail over 1 inch in diameter, over 2 inches in diameter, you can really get some gusty straight line winds from the storm. And this particular storm here is going to be capable, according to these calculated estimates, of about 70-mile-per-hour winds. Those winds will fall down and move out in every direction outside and away from the storm. Carlsruhe, you might get a gust out of the north. Areas north of Carlsruhe may get a gust straight out of the west. Granville, you may get a gust of wind straight out of the south. So when that mass of hail and rain starts dumping out of that cell, that is when things get interesting. So let's take a look at the North Dakota roads report here. And as we go into this now, and I hope you appreciate Hutch's weather here, and if it's just this constant ability to keep up with what's going on right now. It's now casting is what I like to call it. As we take a look at this area here, see if we can see this storm from a distance as we're looking on the Drake camera here. There's some dark skies, and in fact on this particular scan you can see this really dark stuff up here. So there are some darkening skies just off and outside of that Drake camera area. Let's go a little bit closer to pardon me while I'm getting my orientation straight. Towner. Okay, let's go look all the way out at Rugby. Now you can see the darkening skies off in the distance there from the Highway 2 corridor. There's a very good shot of the darkening skies as well when you're looking on one side of the highway, and there's the other direction. I wish they told me what direction those were looking as we take a look across the region. Let's see, there was the max storms, and let's go down here to the Oliver County stuff that's going on near the Hazen area. I got the Washburn camera. Let's look at this. Okay, so you got some cells that are forming in and around the area just off in the distance of Highway 83 there, and nothing that's too ominous looking right there. Most of those clouds in and around Washburn right now are fairly elevated. Now let's take a look at these storms from the backside. Oh, we can't. That camera is out to lunch at the present time. Denhoff, we do have some, there it is. There's some darkening skies and very dark out there off in the distance as you're looking across the area. So that's what the DOT cameras are showing once again. Hail and gusty winds that could be approaching 70 miles per hour from the storm. Here's the latest from the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Bismarck, North Dakota. They're the ones that are responsible for issuing the warnings and watches out in the western portion of the state of North Dakota. Damaging threat and 1.75 inch diameter hail possible. Hi from Bemidji, Linda. Michael H., good to have you. Thanks for joining. Again, if you have any questions about the weather, drop a comment. This storm here has shown a little bit of evidence of some weak shear, and now it's starting to increase. So as we take a look, we're definitely getting this supercellular structure now. We've got reds right next. Now this is the Bismarck radar, so reds would be motion away from Bismarck. This is motion towards. The colors here are weak green and weak red, but the brighter greens and brighter reds are on the outside, meaning that the strongest winds are still on the outside of this rotation. That's a little bit farther away than the radar up here at Deering. I will switch right to the radar that is literally across the highway from this storm and see if it's seeing anything of concern on this particular cell. And essentially, we do have some areas of shear showing up, and it's well, it's basically not as existent on this. And this is a good radar because it's looking right at the bottom of the storm. Now, this is the lowest level or lowest elevation angle scan. I can sneak up just a little bit. No, here's the lowest. Okay, now we're looking at the lowest elevation angle scan. And again, this is from Deering. So this rotation is right here, spinning up, and then there's motion toward the radar here and away here. So right here and right here, very interesting. A couple of areas of shear on the far south and west side of this storm outside of Karlsruhe. Tough to get any call on that. Let me take a look at the National Weather Service and see if Bismarck has gotten any input into this storm. I'm almost certain there are going to be some chasers out in the area giving them some feedback. So warning coming out on the Oliver County storm, a report of hail close to quarters. So that's coming out soon. We were just talking about the hail building up on that puppy as it's getting started. But this one's starting to show some organized rotation from two different radars. As we go up through the cloud, though, that organized rotation, well, I wouldn't say becomes less. There is some evidence of it here on the backside of the storm as well. So yes, we do have some pretty stout rotation on that storm that's working its way outside of Velva and moving towards the Towner area. And if you happen to be in Karlsruhe, some monster-sized hail could be possible from this particular thunderstorm cell as it's just developing right now. Here's a look at that hail core. And as the crow flies here, this is not far from Karlsruhe. This is likely going to be impacting the hail cores only 5 miles, 5.7 miles to the northwest of Karlsruhe at this particular time. So seek shelter and put the vehicle in the garage and make sure that with the gusty winds this storm could create to upwards of 70 miles per hour, that you've got everything battened down. So you want to make sure that lawn furniture isn't going to fly off. And if you happen to have one of them there, what do you call that? When you bounce up and down, a trampoline, you want to make sure that that puppy's put away. That storm is going to likely pass just south of Towner, but you have this other hail core right here, and it's only about the 12-mile distance from you at this particular time. So keep that in mind. All right, National Weather Service said we got a storm warning coming out for you folks in Oliver County. Hutch was on that storm a second ago. Here are the details on that warning. 1 1/2 inch diameter hail is estimated from the National Weather Service. It's moving east. It's moving at 26 miles per hour. This warning is in effect for 1 hour. It's moving directly towards you in center. If you are in center, you know what? This storm is going to have that hail potential, but also gusty winds. Any storm that's capable of creating 1, 2, 3 inch diameter hail, as that hail falls out, could create some very gusty outflow with it. So from Stanton right down through center and rural parts of western Oliver County right now, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that storm. I'll take a look and see if this one's showing some signs of rotation. We did look at that moments ago. This is from the Deering radar. Let me get the closer radar data here from Bismarck. And as we zoom in, oh wow, on the other side of the storm, you're seeing some greens and reds. But guess what? We can't get excited about that because the beam is shooting this way from Bismarck. And so we don't have greens and reds next to each other in the sense of shear. This is more like what I would like to call a roll. Okay, so the wind at this height, every pixel that goes away from Bismarck is a little higher than the last one. So at the lower height, the winds are blowing away. At the higher height, the wind is blowing towards. That's a roll. So there is some rolling air over. Lake of Fire, good to have you on. Linda, Aaron, hello from Warren, Minnesota. Good to have you on board. And Brenda, hate spring, summer storms. You know what? This is that time of year when we typically are getting our stormy weather. And now this is getting a little bit more of a stronger roll, which could be some air being taken into the storm at that particular level on the backside. So that'll be an interesting feature to see how that impacts the storm. As we go up a little bit higher, though, in the cloud, there is some shear and spin that is away from the radar and towards right here, moving in the exact direction of you folks in center. So this is a weak rotating thunderstorm. That rotation is picked up at cloud level and it's very early stages. So that's what's going on there. Faith, we do have a storm out here that is a long ways away from the Bismarck radar. Let's see if I can pop up the Rapid City area radar right here. Okay, so now in Faith, out in South Dakota, this storm again has some motion toward the radar and away from the radar here, but it's moving in the general direction of Faith. The main movement of the storm is easterly, 35 miles per hour, and it could create some 50 mile per hour gusts. The strongest cell in South Dakota has hovered right over the Presho area heading into Chamberlain. There's a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for that until 7:15. I think they've got another one on here too that they just issued. Let me make sure. Till 7:45. This one will replace the other one. Look at this. 2.75-inch diameter hail. That's some serious hail, and I don't like it. Now this graphic is old, but Hutch is going to switch this out. So please ignore this while I upload a better graphic here that explains what's going on here. So give me one moment. Un momento, por favor. Okay, so let me see. What I'm pulling up here is a hail diagram here. So let's go ahead and pop this one. There's a couple different ones I like to use that compares hail sizes to objects you may have around if you don't have a ruler. When you get a hailstone, you want to measure the largest distance across or diameter of the hailstone. Sometimes they're not perfectly round like a baseball or a softball there at the McQuaid's tournament, but they're oblong. Measure the longest diameter across a stone and measure the largest stones you can find. Those are very helpful because they tell us how fast the updrafts may have been to support these hailstones up in the sky. So the 2 3/4 inch baseball size. Now, you and I both know baseballs come in different sizes. Marbles, it's hard to talk about marbles being a comparison or a good comparison for hail. I don't like it. I'd rather have a measurement or a comparison to a coin. Peas are pretty uniform in size, about 1/4 inch in diameter. But when I was a kid, I played marbles and we had them boulder-sized ones and the cat-eye-sized ones. And all in all, it's just better to try to get a little bit of a measurement on stuff like that. But if you happen to have a quarter or a nickel around and you say it's just smaller than a nickel or a penny, that's helpful information. So this is your hail reporting chart from the National Weather Service, and it's best to measure the diameter of those largest stones. So we get up into some of these bigger softball-sized hail or grapefruits. That's never fun, 4.5-inch diameter hail. And if it's the size of a CD, then you're in trouble, and we don't want to hear anything about none of that nonsense around our area today. So here's what's going on. 2 active severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect across North Dakota right now. One that's heading in that general direction of you in Karlsruhe. That severe thunderstorm has a huge hail threat, 2.5 inches. It's approaching baseball size up there. Towner, Denby, Karlsruhe, it's just north of you by a couple of miles now, heading in that general direction of George Lake. Glasgow and the north edge of the Fort Peck Reservoir, including Fort Peck itself, under a severe thunderstorm warning for some hail and gusty straight line winds. That particular thunderstorm cell is located just off to the east or west of Glasgow, and it's heading into Glasgow right now. Duck Creek Rec area on the north side of the Fort Peck Reservoir is in the path. Will Pingree get the storm tonight? Well, Christo, thank you for asking. The Pingree Buchanan, Kensal area in Stutsman County will be in the area of the tornado watch tonight. You are in that area of the tornado watch. I can't tell you whether any one town will or will not see storms. I went over the forecast here a bit ago, but it does show some storms working their way through. Dale says, what about Gorilla Hail? Well, Gorilla Hail, at that last graphic I just had up to kind of illustrate the hail there, is something that we don't want in our area. And here we go. This is a look at some hail size estimating charts here. But Gorilla Hail, in my opinion, is baseballs and larger. Once you get up into that area, even the tennis ball sized hail would be no fun. That's damaging. Fortunately, around our nation, we haven't had a lot of deaths caused by hail, but there have been some. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning now north of Lake Sakakawea near Garrison. This also is a storm that is showing some signs of rotation. So if you're in this area, make sure you're seeking shelter in that interior room. Stay away from windows. Expect the gust potential with this storm as it moves into max. We were tracking this one a bit ago. This one's moving off to the east at about 8 miles per hour. Folks, I can ride my bicycle a little bit faster than that. Betty Hess says you are in a tornado warning. Betty, that you're correct in the fact that they need to be aware of a tornado risk, but it's a tornado watch versus a warning, and we'll get over to that right now. If we take a look at the Pingree area now, Pingree, Buchanan, Kensal, Jamestown, Ypsilanti, all the way out here towards Medina and Cleveland. All these areas are in the tornado watch. Let me highlight that for you so there's no confusion. This red box is a watch. It doesn't mean a tornado is going to happen in all these places. It just means that all the ingredients are sitting on the countertop to produce tornadoes. What are those ingredients? Strong thunderstorm updraft potential, some shear or spin or rolling of the air over North Dakota today. We showed you that at the early onset, that's what's going on. And as these updrafts pull those updrafts up, it pulls the rolling air up, and then we get twisting updrafts, and we could have tornadoes. So if you are in the Max area, this is a look at the radar data here from Bismarck, and we see some pretty bright greens and some reds, but they're pretty far apart. This is motion away from Bismarck. This is motion towards Bismarck. So there is some developing spin in this particular storm as well. Not a tornado warning storm. For it to be a tornado, the National Weather Service operators of the radar are very well trained in keeping their eyes on stuff. And I know there's people out watching these storms tonight. The Storm Spotter Network is out there. And I do believe I heard there was some gentleman who drives something called the Dominator 3 running around North Dakota today. So if you've seen that beast and you know it's in town, you know that active weather could be right around the corner. American Farmer HVAC 2028 couplets are trying to form, but this radar network is so hard to pinpoint any rotation. You're right. Our network is far away and few and far between. So some of the storms on the Montana border with North Dakota, the closest radar is almost 200 miles away because there's one in Billings, Glasgow, and, well, Bismarck. And I got to tell you, there are a couple of radars operated by the state of North Dakota out west. Those are helpful, and we won't argue with those because they save lives, and we can look at them as well on some of Hutch's content here. But if you're in the Garrison area, this storm is north of you. If you're in Douglas, the storm is heading right towards you. If you're in Max, the storm is heading right towards you. Here is a look at the core of the storm with its hail core and its rotation moving only at 8 miles per hour. I'm going to put it at 15. It's going to be moving in the general direction of Douglas by 7:36, and by 8:07 Max, it will be towards you. This is picking up. Do you see this very bright green spot here? The strength of the winds blowing towards Bismarck now on the backside of the storm, picking up. Updraft going into the storm, interacting, making huge hail as it goes through, wrapping around the backside, and sometimes that can come out as an outflow boundary, but that wind is quite strong at this particular juncture. Towner, if you're in the Carlsruhe area here, this storm is still showing some signs of rotation. This is the Bismarck radar here, and it's rotating this way. It's just north of town with the rotation. That's also where the hail core is and was. Let's go ahead and look at that radar data. Woo-wee! That is some monster hail core data there, moving right over the Karlsruhe area. That gray color you don't see all of the time. And as we take a look at one of the other products Hutch likes to look at when pinpointing hail, is called dual polarization radar data. And I'll take a peek at this and see if we can see, okay, so where we do have lowering there, that's interesting, but this gray right here, this dark gray, that is where the hail core is with this particular storm, just north of town. So this is real-time information that helps Hutch locate where the hail core is. And then when we take a look at the regular radar data one more time here, let's go ahead and look at that. You can see that, yeah, it's right about in the same area as this dark color here. One of the dangers with looking at a radar data like this and saying, oh, it's hailing north of Karlsruhe, it may not be. The radar is looking up at an angle and it's seeing these hailstones up at the sky level, up above the cloud. How far above the ground is that right now? Well, let's go ahead and see if Hutch can get out his calculator. Oh, we got that storm moving in on the Oliver County area, so we'll keep you on that one as well. Here's a radial measurement tool from Bismarck's radar. That hail core that it's measuring is at an elevation of 9,000. It is almost 2 miles, a 1.75 miles above the ground. So it's seeing hailstones up in the cloud level. That doesn't mean it's hitting the ground. So if you've ever asked yourself, why does it show it's raining in my town, but there's no wetness hitting your head or your windshield? That's why. Radars are seeing what's up in the sky. Now, the closer we get to the radar, the better off we are, and the better look we're having at the bottom of the cloud. So the much better radar for this storm would be in Deering. Now this one, if I go ahead and look at how far it's looking up in the sky at the hail core, there's two hail cores with this storm. One is a little bit closer on the north side of the storm and another to the south. It's only 500 feet off the ground, folks. So that is a core of hail that's down on the ground. The southern core that's a little bit closer to Karlsruhe is 800 feet off the ground. So there are hailstones that are pretty close to the surface there, likely falling their way back down toward the ground there. Now, when we look at the hail core, I guess we can take a peek at the one near the Max area that's heading into Max right now. Those hailstones are being picked up at about 3,000 feet off the ground. No way to tell for sure if they're making their way down to the ground. But nonetheless, there's some pretty bright looking displays here on the radar, particularly the Karlsruhe storm and particularly the one also in Oliver County heading towards center right now. Okay, let's see what we got going on here with regards to the rotation with the storm. That's what's going on with the hail. I'm going to take a look at the National Weather Service, see if we're getting some reports of the storm. Sounds like Pedro is hollering at some neighbors here, so we'll check in on what he's looking at right now. Let me take a look at the Weather Service. No feedback. No feedback from the National Weather Service on the storm there off north of the Bismarck area and center at this particular time. So I don't think they're getting any feedback on the storms. Len says, any tornado chance in Saskatchewan? We are just north. Okay, so north of where, Len? Let me know, and I'd be happy to answer your question. Sorry I didn't get to you a little bit sooner. I think that one's been sitting up there for just a little while. So if you're up in the Estevan area, I can let you know there's a cell north of Crosby. Some of these storms are moving slow to the north and east, but if we go way north, I think the better tool for me to look at here is my radar from Canada here. So let me go up there. I have a little bit more of a aerial coverage with this radar up top. Little grainier looking radar right now, but let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. So we got a thunderstorm watch in South Dakota and Nebraska. And we do have a tornado watch in North Dakota until 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. A line of thunderstorms all the way from near the Fort Peck area all the way down towards central parts of southern Fort Peck Reservoir, seeing a line of severe thunderstorms there. Tyler says, anytime I see you're live, I tune in. Thank you. And thank you for watching. I do appreciate that very much. And thanks for your support of stars. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Canada side and where these storms are moving. I'm going to go and load up a few frames of data. This will take just a second. This is a composite radar, so it's not quite as detailed as what I like to look at. It's probably what you're used to looking at on your weather apps. This is smoothed over, and it's a look at all the different slices of the atmosphere that's blended into one pixel for each location. That's not always the best way, but it sure gives us an idea of what's heading towards Winkler. We have these. So, Len, if you do have any, you know what? I wouldn't say there is not a tornado chance up in parts of Manitoba here, particularly along the international border. But I will say this. The more of these storms you see forming down to the south here, then that might lower the energy coming into these other storms. These are feeding off of a south inflow into them and rising pockets and bubbles of air. So sometimes these storms can rob that inflow into the overnight hours, and these ones will struggle. And I'm sure you're not unhappy about that. Get a little farther away though, but you get up there towards Neepawa, it looks like there, and north of Brandon in Manitoba, there is going to be some pretty stout thunderstorms heading in the general direction of, areas north of Winnipeg, Portage La Prairie, and then also St. Laurent and Sandy Bay. So that's what's going on up there, up north. I do think that there may be a risk of a little spin in the atmosphere up in your neck of the woods here. Let me see what products I can show on this here. One moment. Lightning. 30-minute lightning, 2-hour rotation. Let's look at that. The rotating part of the storms here. So there is some rotation in the air out here as we look in over the last couple of hours in the area where we do have these storms. So in short, yes, there is some shear in your atmosphere for our neighbors to the north in the province of Manitoba right now. And as we take a look at the big picture here, I can show you that there are no warnings in Hawaii until we get down. Oh, nope, that's not warnings. That's the map. So as far as what's going on in Hawaii, things pretty quiet. And if you're in Alaska right now, there's a flood warning north of Anchorage, it looks like here. In the bay, not far from Palmer, a flood advisory, I should say. So minor flooding and drainage areas up there. Other than that, look at the nation. Heat, hot in the nation's midsection and the Ohio and Mississippi River deltas out there, and our area, which is happening right now. Okay, I think that does cover it. Hello for Spooner from Spooner, Wisconsin. Going to be able to mow the yard on Saturday. Hutch mowed his tonight. And if you take a look at the radar data right now, let me turn this back to radar and not rotation. Tomorrow, your weather gets a little more exciting in your neck of the woods. So I'm going to go back to the big picture. We got a new warning now. Let me update you. New warning. This thing looks like it's splitting. And we've got a right turner and then this one. We'll see what that one does. This right turner has a circulation on the backside or on the low southwest side. This is probably right over Karlsruhe or very close to it right now. There is Karlsruhe. You're right in this rotating area of the storm, or what looks like a hook echo right here in Karlsruhe. Not sure what you're seeing there. As we take a look at what the National Weather Service, it's a destructive storm, baseball-sized hail, and 70-mile-per-hour wind gust potential. Remember, we measured that with my algorithm here just a minute ago, and it did have the wind gusts up to 67 miles per hour. One hail core on the south side, a splitting storm here that has another hail core on the north side. So, if you are in Balta and areas just off to the east of Karlsruhe, a nasty hail puncher's coming in. Baseball-sized hail. Make sure that you get the vehicle inside and also prepare for gusts of wind from this baseball-sized onslaught to exceed 60 miles per hour. Dale, what time do you think Hendrum, Fargo, and Grand Forks all presently appear to be after midnight before storms arrive? It'll be dark 30, but I'll be here watching the skies for you. In and around Max, this storm hasn't moved. Remember, it said 8 miles per hour last check. This hasn't moved. So this area is getting dumped on by McDumperson here. This dumpy McDumperson south of Douglas is just crawling towards Max. It too has his V signature on the top side of it and a hail core there just into Douglas, and it's moving towards Douglas. And as the crow flies in Douglas, you are only 3 miles away. It's moving at 8 miles per hour. So if the hailstones make it from the sky down to the ground over Douglas, it's going to only be a couple of minutes, and maybe you do have some hail over that area right now. So big time hail making its way through some of these storms. This is 2-inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Let's go back to Hutch's toolbox here, and let me see. I've got no pliers. Don't need those. Nope, there's a hammer. Nope. Let's look at the hail chance and the chance of severe. So with the storm that we have going through the Douglas area here, apparently this is loading a little slower than it did last time I tried to load it up. And maybe there is a lower, nope, it's not working. So let's go ahead and see if we can get the wind gust potential with these storms here. Okay. Guess what? It's not pulling it up, so I'm not going to waste time. We now have that is a splitting storm. So the north side of the storm, north of Karlsruhe, is moving towards Rugby. The south side is heading off to the east through Karlsruhe now and on its way towards, I think it's the area here off of rural parts of the county and towards Balta, south of Rugby right now. So let me load up the regular radar data since this isn't paying attention. And let's look at the shear and the spin. And what I'm seeing is this backward C shape and outflow away from the Deering radar here. Now, this is storm relative velocity. That's what SRV means. And that means it's adding or subtracting the motion of the storm. Enderlin, Sheldon area. Starla, if you're in that area, I got to tell you, it's just been a heck of a week. And there's just no other way to put it. And there is a storm chance tonight. The risk for tornadoes is not great in your area. And in fact, the tornado risk is not 0 up in central North Dakota. It's a tornado watch. But the tornado risk is going to be likely happening here in the next 3 hours or so, 4 hours. The watch lasts until 1, which would put us closer to midnight. What we're seeing here is a measurement of the wind relative to the storm's motion, which is about 25 miles per hour. The south side of the storm is warned until 8:15. Baseballs and 70-mile-per-hour winds are possible. It's a destructive storm, folks, and you'll want to make sure that you're seeking shelter. Batten down the hatches. Make sure that you're putting the vehicle in the garage. Don't park under the trees. Stay away from windows as this storm approaches. Gusty winds could topple branches. On the north side, this is a warning until 8:15. This storm is moving northeast away from Karlsruhe at 24 miles per hour, 1.5-inch diameter hail, and 60 mile per hour winds. This original warning is likely going to expire soon. Let's get back to the storm now. Oh boy, look at how bright this is. Okay, let me switch back to the Bismarck radar if my switcher will let me. And then let's see what it comes up with. Okay, this is storm relative velocity. There is very, very strong outgoing wind here. That's what the red means, outgoing away from the Bismarck radar in the airport area in Bismarck. And then the green is a little bit of weak motion towards. But the difference between the wind is the important part. So there is some spin, and it's right there, just outside of center. So there's a little rotation in this storm. There is a risk of tornadoes tonight. So I would heed the warning. This is 17 miles downwind from you folks in center. This storm is moving at 26 miles per hour. We'll track this puppy for you as the rotating part of the storm is right here. Moving off at about 25 miles per hour puts it near center. The rotating part of the storm near center by 8:06. That's the box you're looking for there. Should I change the color of these boxes? Give me your comments and let me know. Anything to make it easier for you to read Hutch's weather. I'm going to try to do my goodest to make sure I can get that done for you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual velocity now that the Doppler radar is estimating or measuring. Now we can see quite a bit of spin on this, and this can be a very good measurement of how fast a wind gust might be when the storms get closer to the radar. But there is some spin in that storm. Now let's go up to the Deering radar here and take a look at the measurement of the winds that are blowing away from the storm. And this is straight velocity. This Doppler radar stuff tells us how fast the wind is blowing toward the radar or away from the radar. If it's blowing at an angle to the radar beam, we can't estimate the wind speed unless we do some trigonometry. So keep that in mind. This can be a good estimator of our wind speeds here. So let me just measure a couple of these. They're fairly low to the ground here. So I'm seeing outflow away from the radar in the Deering area, but it is not, I'm not seeing 80 or 100 or anything mile per hour winds on the velocity signature from the Deering radar right now up at cloud level. But with the collapsing storms and the hail cores that are up there, this could change at any time. What we are seeing is this kind of this backwards C shape here of flow away from the radar, and that's probably indicative of that main hail core that started collapsing right here, and it's causing that gusty wind in all direction. Is the storm shifting north? Jasmine, where are you? Thank you for your question. This one is splitting into two, this one, and it's moving north, and this one's moving more in a southeast direction. So this one storm is splitting north. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 thunderstorms right now in this area that are severe. So it's not huge, it's not widespread, it's isolated right now. And I do believe, it's my belief, that this is a most dangerous time with regard to the evolution of tornadoes, simply because we do have these isolated cells that are taking all of the energy from the atmosphere. I'm concerned about this Oliver County storm here. It's starting to show some increased outbound next to increased inbound winds right in this general vicinity right here. So if those kind of get together here in the upcoming scan and get organized, that's a pretty tight rotation right there. And it's heading in the general direction of center, moving east at, well, it says 26 miles per hour right now. Now, if you're in center, there's also some hail associated with this cell that's working its way in your general direction. As the crow flies, that'll get to you guys first. So you got this hail core, and it's only 7.5 miles outside of town. This is measured up above the ground. It doesn't mean that's what's hitting the ground right now, but there's a hail core in that general vicinity right now. And we also have that rotating part of the storm that's down on this part next to this updraft that has an even higher reflectivity. And that means even bigger hail from this second core. So hail core 1, Big hail core, another hail core on the north side of that. I'm taking in information here from all channels, so pardon me while I'm getting information. And let's see here. Well, we got a photo upload. So let me check out what we got. Photo uploads. I appreciate all of you who take the time to upload photos. Let me give you a bird's eye view of the region right now. Now you can see the nature of the thunderstorm threat right now, mainly in central North Dakota where we expected them yesterday to form. Logan says, how far away from Jamestown? These storms are a long ways from Jamestown. Jamestown is a 100-mile drive from Bismarck, and they're west of Bismarck yet. The timing on these is going to be later tonight before they have a chance to make their way in our neck of the woods here. And I'll try to effort to get you that timing here. Now that we're starting to see some evolution, we'll take a look at what model is matching up with the storms. But let me go ahead and upload a photo here that's been uploaded to Hutch's Weather and make sure and see what we got here. And if it's one that I can show you right now, I will do it if it's fitting. Gabe, thank you. You got some towers out there near Washburn. I really appreciate this. So from a distance, these thunderstorm clouds are called cumulonimbus clouds. And on hutchesweather.com, you can go see this right now. I want you to know that hutchesweather.com, if you allow the site the first time you log on to track your device's location, you'll get all the watches and the warnings that are associated with your area right away. Please keep my sponsors in mind. Without them, hutchesweather.com would not be possible. Now, if you scroll down on the page just a little bit, and actually at the top of the page, you'll see Hutch's viewer picks right there. You can click there, or as you're scrolling down, you'll see this segment right here. This is where you can view the gallery. So go ahead and view or upload your photos. And this is what was sent to me from the burn on Highway 83, north of Bismarck, south of Minot. This is a towering pancake. So you got this updraft that's punching up into the atmosphere like this. That's your rising hot air balloon, only it's rising fast enough to create baseball-sized hail north of Washburn. Now, I don't know what direction we're looking at here. Friday at 7 p.m., looking north outside of Washburn. So you're looking maybe in that general direction of max, okay? So these are those cells that are in that general direction. That updraft punching up, and then boom, it hits a stable layer in the atmosphere, and that's called the the stratosphere. That's the stratosphere up there. And there's a layer just below that called the stratopause. Jasmine, thank you very much for your idea. I love ideas. If you have ideas and you want Hutch to say, hey, what would make Hutch's better? Jasmine says you need to get an app, and that would be great. Logan says, how far are these storms away from Jamestown? I think we answered that, a little over 100 miles. They're only moving at 25 miles per hour right now, but they could accelerate. So thunderstorms have flat tops because that rising bubble of air hits a stable layer and it just spreads out in all directions, kind of like a mushroom cloud. They're also called anvil clouds because if you could see it without the trees, they take the shape of an anvil up there in the atmosphere. Awesome. Gabe, thank you for sharing photos. This is another view of an anvil building in Roseau County the other day on July 17th, 7 p.m. Alan Anderson sharing this spooky, sunset shot out there. So you can peruse these photos, and I'm telling you what, there's some doozies in here of what Mother Nature has done to our area since the beginning of June. And I got to tell you what, it has been an active stretch of weather here over the last couple of weeks in particular. Lightning snaking across the skies. I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that makes Hutch nervous, it's lightning, because I can't move fast enough to get out of its way. I can try, but I'd probably trip. So a lot of storms, fog. Look at that. That is wow. We had ourselves a lake tornado out here. So this water spout formed out, and this was a shot from Marion Lake on Lake Marion out there. Oh my goodness, what a shot. And thanks to all of you who have uploaded your shots over the last months, weeks, and over a year of Hutch's Weather. A year and a half and growing. A year and a half and going strong. So, all right, let's take a look at some communities in the path of the storms right now. Everything is out in central North Dakota. Heading in the general direction of Rugby is a hail core. Heading out of Karlsruhe, and look at this. A line is developing all the way back to Velva. That's where this storm formed and started. It's split in half right here near Karlsruhe, and now it's moving into Towner, one half of it, and the other half is moving off this way. So that's what we got going on. Still a ginormous hail core right here, just outside of Karlsruhe. What are you getting in Karlsruhe? If you're in Karlsruhe, that puppy is moving right into town. Do you see that hail core? This is not far off the ground. This is the Bismarck radar. Let me switcheroo it over to the radar here in Deering, up near Minot. And as we take a look at this, indeed, Karlsruhe, very low to the ground, about 800 feet off the ground right now. We have a hail core, so it's not too far. I hope these dissipate. Don't want to clean up for another week. No kidding. Trex Arms, thank you for that. It's been a long week in Bemidji. Just getting people's services connected. Thanks, lineman. I got to tell you, thank you for what you do, because it's got to be a mess. Some of these roads get closed by all of the terrible trees that are down. And then you have wires that could be live around there. So if you have stuff caused by these 100+ mile per hour winds, you just got to thank a lineman for getting your power back on. And it takes time. Tracy says our son, south of Hazen, has jagged hail larger than a quarter. Thank you, Tracy, for that report. I'll pass that along to the Weather Service. How far south? How far south of Hazen? If you know that answer, I'll put that in. Report of just larger than 1 inch hail, jagged. Sorry, I'm typing to the Weather Service. We got to keep everybody informed. It's a team effort. 1 inch hail, jagged, south of Hazen. Yeah, if you could give me information on exactly how far, Tracy, south of Hazen, that would be very helpful. I'm going to hit and send on this now, so they at least have that report. Thank you very much. Then as we take a look. Well, the sun just came out. It's been cloudy here in Bismarck all day. Let me track. I know a lot of you may be feeling anxious with regard to the storms that happened last week, and I got to tell you, I am too. We don't need any of that. How much rain is expected tonight? Keep up the good work. Thanks, Tony. Let's take a look at two things in the future here. First and foremost, I'm going to look at the velocity signature of these storms and see if anything looks suspicious. I got to keep an eye on it in a tornado watch. Towner, you got some weak shear on the south side moving right into the Highway 2 corridor heading to town. Right now, Towner, you're probably getting the heavy rain and the hail from the storm. Yep, it's moving right into town, but this part of the storm is weakly rotating. Seek shelter, batten down the hatches, stay away from the windows. This wind will gust at you from the southwest, so it's going to come at you from the southwest as it's moving its way in a northeasterly direction. This storm has hail core that is one to the right of town, just off to the east, one just to the left of you on the west. Not sure what you're getting on the ground down there in Towner, but that's a nasty puppy. Then as we look at this storm, by the way, this Towner storm is moving up in the general direction of Barton and on towards Willow City. And here is the core of the storm moving right here in this red box area towards Barton. And it's going to be near Towner, that next hail core, by 7:52. But what I think is going on is there's some development along that line as well. Sweet Briar Lake in Mandan. Yeah, that area, 7 miles south of Hazen. Thank you very much, Tracy. I'm passing that on to the Weather Service right now. So let me do that. And then I'll add 7 miles south. Thank you. It was 7 miles south of Hazen. All right. Very good. Now let's take a look at what's going on with regard to the rotation. Again, I had to type up a note. Notice that the bright colors on this northern storm seem to be getting a little less bright. That's good news for that county, but it's still a severe storm warning. And that thunderstorm warning is for hail up to 1 1/4 inch diameter hail. It's robbing some of the inflow from these storms down to, or the storm down to the south is robbing its inflow. This one may or may not exist much longer. It'll be interesting to see. But if you're in the path of this near the Barton area, between Barton and the Towner area, please seek shelters. So along that Pierce County line there as well. Now, all the way to Velva, we got a new storm warning for this Velva storm. This is radar indicated 1 1/2 inch diameter hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts. This is a storm that's moving into the Karlsruhe area. Do you see this bite taken out of the storm right here? That bite is oftentimes called a hook echo. We don't like hook echoes in meteorology. That little finger, that could be caused by a rotation in the lower levels of the storm as the air spins as it's rising. It can throw out like a centrifuge raindrops and hailstones. Thank you from Jamestown. We'll go ahead and get you an estimated time of arrival in that area. So this Karlsruhe storm in that area has a hail core moving into Karlsruhe and near Karlsruhe and continues to move off to the east-southeast. It's moving at 50, is that right? 56 miles per hour. I don't buy that. No, you ain't selling me that land in Florida. That's too swampy for me. That's too fast. These have been moving at 25 miles per hour. So this Karlsruhe storm here, I'm going to use that as my my go-to rule here. And this is boom here and boom. And we'll use I'll use 28 miles per hour to speed her up. Basically, Karlsruhe and rural portions to the east-southeast of Karlsruhe. It will be over Karlsruhe now. And that rotating part of the thunderstorm is right here. And it's moving along through Karlsruhe and points south. So no tornado warning with this storm, but there is some weak rotation. So I would take it seriously. And if you're in Balfour, Velva, this storm is just exiting Velva. It's heading towards Voltaire and heading towards Balfour. This cell, let's see how fast it's moving. If it's a 28 miles per hour. So that's more reasonable. So a 1.5 inch diameter hail and 60 mile per hour winds. So again, if we go ahead and track this storm's movement, here is the leading edge of the hail core with this cell. I'm going to put it moving more east than southeast. It's kind of a weird box we got here, but some of them have snuck to the south. Voltaire, 746. The storm will be over you. Balfour by about 8:04 and 8:18 for Drake as it continues its trek down to the east-southeast at this particular time. So that's what you have going on right there. Max, you got a storm cell working its way right over and walking over the Highway 83 corridor. So if, you know, the big old wind farms there that you got, those puppies, well, we got a tornado warning in effect now. If you are in center, seek shelter right now in the lowest level of a sturdy structure. Oliver County and areas along and south of Highway 25 in Oliver County seeing a tornado warned storm. We've been looking at the rotation, and here's what the Weather Service says. The National Weather Service says that this is a tornado warning for radar depicted shear. See the bite taken out of the storm? It's a little bite, but it's right there, and it's heading in the general direction of center, moving east at 28 miles per hour. There is a hail core also moving towards center. I will switch over to the Bismarck radar to get a more clear look at the velocity structure with this particular storm as well. So allow me to do that, and then we'll take a look at the spin with regards to this storm. Tornado warning. As for Oliver County, it does include center and points south into southern Oliver County. It does include portions of northern Morton County, north of New Salem, Sioux, and heading into the Mandan area as well. So let's see. Why is my radar not loading here? Let's try again. Okay. If that don't work, we'll go to the composite radar real quick. And now back to the single site. There it goes. Okay. So do you see this little light green? Okay, that's an interesting feature. That looks like a, sometimes these storms can have what's called a rear flank downdraft come out on the backside. That might be kicking up some dust, making a cloud there. That might be called a roll cloud as it's working its way through. And right here is the interface with the updraft as well. The rotating part of the storm, now we can look at the velocity. Now that I've got the single site data turned on, here we go. Okay, so as we're looking here, we've got motion away from the radar in red toward the radar in green. This definitely looks like we've got ourselves a rear flank downdraft on this particular side, but there's some shear right here. So that's the rotating part of the storm. I will circle it with my crayon. Let me get that out. Shazam. Let's see if I can try that one more time. Okay. So that's the tornado, the Doppler indicated tornado. There are some hail reports coming out of Oliver County here as well. Oh, there's the 6 miles south of Hazen, 1.3 inch diameter hail, 1.8 inches in diameter from a spotter 10 miles west of Hanover. So this storm has some monster hail. It's heading in towards center right now. We do have that hail core and that increasing rotation here where I drew my crayon circle over there. This is moving off to the east-southeast at about 25 miles per hour. So if you're in the path, oh, there's the latest scan. It's even a little stronger here. We'll analyze a couple of other things, but the leading edge of this rotation is right here. It's moving east-southeast at 25 miles per hour. I'll put it at 28. This is going to be heading to areas of the I-83, Highway 83 corridor, rather, north of Bismarck Mandan in the upcoming hour. There are no towns picked out on this particular list, but as you know, areas south of center on the Highway 25 corridor, you are going to be in the path of this very dangerous storm. I'm going right now to a look at the DOT page here. Let me erase my line. I'm going to erase that. And let's see if we've got anything out here that can confirm or deny what we're seeing. I know there's a camera out here near New Salem. Let's take a look. So as we get down out east of town here, there's a look from the west side of the storm. The rain and the hail. Okay, there you go. Oh my goodness. So take a look at this from the DOT camera from Beulah. And now what we're looking at, oopsies, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this window out of the way. You know what? Hutch just blew this up. I'm going to load it back up again. We'll go here. We'll go here. And I apologize. Just I clicked on the wrong thing. So now as we zoom in and we take a look from the west and we're looking at the DOT camera, we can absolutely see what looks like a lowering of this cloud base. So there is a rain and hail core right here where you're seeing that white reflectivity of the sunlight off the hail. That's the hail core right there. And again, this is a lowering of the cloud base called a wall cloud. That lowering there appears to be very close to the ground on this side, and it's very, 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 very low to the ground, but there is a hill involved here as well. So that is a look from the DOT cam off to the west at Beulah, looking towards and across the county line. What's happening in Hazen right now? What's happening in Hazen right now is a good question. Will it make it to Wadena or St. Cloud? Tara wants to know. It'll be very late at night before they make their way in that general direction, and we're talking after 2 a.m., so likely closer to 3 to 5 in the morning. So this is a very, very, very telling shot from this particular view. As we look in other directions, we're not able to see so much. Now let's look at it from Washburn. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Okay, we can faintly make out this lowering cloud base called a wall cloud right there. So there's a flat thunderstorm base, there's a rain shaft, and there is that on the other side of Highway 83 as well. But there are storms near Max too, so that might have been that one. I'm not familiar with what direction that particular camera view was looking into. So let me see if it says Washburn. Nope, no notation of the direction its movement. Excuse me, the direction it's pointing. That I can tell, unless these numbers mean that it's pointing at 170 degrees or 112 degrees, which would be southeast of the site. If that's the case, southeast. That doesn't. There may be a storm in that direction. So, at any rate, there is a tornado-warned storm. It is showing some tight rotation. Let's look north from New Salem, Sioux. See if we can see that view. That's got to be south. This has got to be across and north. There's some dark clouds there. Oh, there's New Salem, Sioux. See here? Shazam. Okay, so there's New Salem, Sioux. That's looking across the interstate. If everybody's driven by there, you know you're looking off more in a southerly direction. And you're seeing out towards Mandan on that left side of the screen there with the dark clouds. This is straight north of New Salem, Sioux, so it's back off to the north and to the east. North and to the west of that is where that rotation is. So couldn't see it from that particular camera view. Here's the hailstone rest area, and there's a lot of hills as we get into western North Dakota, something we don't have a lot of here in the eastern part of the state. Increasing rotation on this storm does continue to show evidence of a tornado and the potential thereof from this storm that's in Oliver County. Here's the radar and the latest showing that storm heading in the general direction of Bismarck Mandan right now. If you are in Bismarck, there's no way of telling how long this storm will be on the ground, but it is in an environment of shear. And as the crow flies right now, we can tell you that this rotating storm is, let me see here, click, click, pull. There we go. So from Mandan, it's 30 miles away from Mandan, moving at 25 miles per hour. So if the direction of movement is currently at this east-southeast direction, it will be on the north side of the metro area there in the capital city, Bismarck, Mandan, arriving first near Mandan and points north near the refinery, right, on the north side of town, and areas north of that. Is it Stanton that's out in that direction as well? So these areas up here, as you take a look at the river valley, is only 27 miles away. It's moving at 25 miles per hour, and it's increasing in strength. The green here is motion towards the radar, and the red's motion away from the radar. Your rotation is right here, 27 miles away from Mandan. So if you happen to be in traffic right now, you don't want to be driving around, and we don't have confirmation as of yet that I know of anything on the ground from this particular storm. It is a Doppler indicated tornado. It's working its way south of center. As you can see the rotation here. If you're in center, you're probably not going to see this storm because you've got heavy rain and hail showing up on the radar display moving towards you. So the hail core is moving into center right now. And here's the rotating part of the storm on the south side. This is an outflow boundary caused by what we call the rear flank downdraft. Always rain when the world's largest softball tournament is in town, says Kevin. That's exactly right. McQuaid's is in town, and every ballpark is loaded with people out there right now. I'm estimating that this storm is close to 1 hour away from the Mandan area, and we'll keep you posted as to the movement on that particular storm. So we have our first tornado warning. We have a hail report of almost baseball, 2.5-inch diameter hail, tennis ball size hail, 6 miles south of Douglas in McLean County. Hail, mostly golf ball size, but some tennis ball, began 7:19 and lasted until 7:34. Oh my goodness. That is terrible, terrible hail damage from that. And that was, that's a lot of hail. And let's see, that happened just outside of Max out here by a trained spotter reporting that. In McLean County. So that's what's going on there on the north side of the big lake. This is moving east. It's moving at it was moving at 8 miles per hour. New warning for this storm has just been issued, and its movement is a little bit more south of east right now. Thanks from Jamestown, says Sandy, and thank you for watching. Mammatus clouds on Bismarck now. Mammatus, those lumpy, bumpy suckers that kind of are on the underside of this canopy that's forming over the cloud. We may be able to see that from the Bismarck cameras right now from the DOT. But let's take a look at the satellite right now. We should see some mushrooms starting to form with shadows. These enormously tall clouds cast a shadow because the sun is way out to the west. So we're seeing this shadow, and that shadow will expand. These storms reaching up in the atmosphere where the bumpiest nature is, and shadows are showing up on the top of the cloud. Do you know what that means? That thunderstorm updraft is punching into the stratosphere, and it's creating a shadow on the top of the cloud. That's not a good sign. That's a very cold, tall cloud top right here. That's the one that's in Oliver County, making its way towards center. Here's your Max cell. This is the Karlsruhe nonsense going on up into the northeast. So those are your three main cores right there. And then South Dakota is showing some pancakes being spread out across the skies as well at this particular time. Rugby, your area is going to be split by these storms at present. The storm radar shows, the latest radar shows that Towner is getting seeing a cell with large hail exiting towards Willow City. That movement is pretty slow, but that storm has picked up in intensity in the last couple of scans. Remember, I thought maybe these would steal some of the inflow from them. Nope, not the case. That storm is percolating and on its own fruition right now. As we take a look at what's going on, the label thrown up there of Highway 11. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And I got to throw the path sign away. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So this Towner County storm is exiting the Towner area, not Towner County. The Towner storm is moving out of Towner and towards Barton and Willow City, and is quite strong where we see these blues here. We do have some significant hail potential from that cell. The National Weather Service says 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible with that. Balta, this is the original hail cell that was twinned with this one that they split apart. This hail core is moving into Balta right now. This hail core here could have some potentially very large hail with it as well. The warning is for 2.5-inch diameter hail, and that's heading into the Balta area and the Highway 3 corridor just south of Rugby right now. So that's what's going on there. And then Karlsruhe, oh my goodness. Let's talk flash flooding in and around Karlsruhe. These first storms formed there, moved away, and then this has just been percolating over you the entire time with hail potential. Hail particularly large hail can throw off estimates of how much rain has fallen. But we're talking about the potential for some serious rainfall in this area now because it's been raining for over an hour. So here's a look at the storm total radar estimates of rainfall, I do believe. Yeah, let's see. And if we take a look at how much rain, are you kidding me? 4 inches of rain, 5 inches of rain, 4 to 5 inches of rain estimated by radar. It's contaminated with a bunch of hail in there. What are you getting in your rain gauges out there, Velva to Towner to areas north of Drake? 3 to 5 inches of rain in a hurry, in an hour or so. Definitely means business. Same thing goes for areas west of Max, where we had the tennis ball sized hail reported west of Max. 4 to 4.5 inches of rain estimated. Likewise, similar rainfall amounts estimated off to the west of Center in Oliver County. Okay, back to a look at the storm relative velocity with regards to the storm, regarding the tornado warned storm. It's still showing up on the radar. You can see it from a distance away, the greens and the reds next to each other. So there is the tornado. As the crow flies, it is basically from center. Let's go. Here's the rotating part of the storm. From center, it is only about, I'm sorry, I've got too many things going on here. My apologies. It's 9.7 miles away from center, still continuing to show signs of rotation. I'm going to check in with the National Weather Service and see if they have, oh yeah, tornado on the ground. Let me double check that. It looks like a rotating column is making contact with the ground on a photo that was shared with the Weather Service. I cannot share someone else's work with you without permission, so I will not do that. But it does look like, and I don't have any other details on the exact location of that. So got a large funnel, ground circulation just underneath, and it just condensed. So there are some folks chasing the storm out there. 8 miles east of Karlsruhe, a few baseball and golf ball sized hailstones reported. North Dakota Highway Patrol, wondering what's going on out there as well. Okay, so that is what's going on. Big time, serious hail from these storms. This one has confirmation of now a rotating core making its way down to the ground. According to a storm chaser, it is not confirmed otherwise, but that's what we have going on. This is just a few miles southwest of center, and it's moving towards Mandan, and it's staying north of you folks in New Salem, and it will likely impact this area. I'll get my Crayola out here. This is the area of concern along the path, and you can see here that the metro area of Bismarck and Mandan will be in the path of this very large storm. How long will it take to get there? The linear measurement showing that the radar is basically 20 miles away, 25 miles away from North Mandan. This is the bend in the interstate here in the highway as you're going by the high school on the north side of town here by the restaurant. And then this is the refinery. All of that area in town in North Mandan is in the path of this. It's moving at 25 miles per hour. It's 1 hour away. It's almost 8 o'clock and close to 9 o'clock. If this storm holds together, it could be impacting the Bismarck Mandan area in the capital city right now. So that's what we have going on. This is staying south of center. If you are in rural parts of southern Oliver County and in rural portions of northern Morton County, north of New Salem, Sioux, this is where this damaging and tornado producing storm is. Give me one moment. I am going to effort to pull up a new window here, so I need to do a little bit of research. If you have a question, please drop it up. Okay, thank you. I see I've got a link here, it looks like. So I will open up this link and turn it down. So I think we got chasers on it. I got a link. So let me turn the volume down, and now we can see what they're seeing out there. Okay, so thank you for the link. You are lifesavers because this does help pass the information along. Covering the storms for you in Oliver County, making their way in the general direction of the Bismarck-Mandan area are these storms. So here we go. Pardon me while I try my best to turn the audio off on this. There we go. I don't want to listen to that. Okay, so according to what I'm seeing here on this particular feed, I've got a uh, wall cloud on a storm. I just need to make sure. West of center. Yeah, so this is what the one we're looking at. Oh, there's gobs of chasers on this puppy right now. So this storm is working its way off toward the Bismarck and Mandan area right now. It is 25 miles away as the crow flies, moving at 25 miles per hour. There was confirmation of a rotating couplet making contact with the ground. I saw a picture of it reaching down toward the ground. And so this is a very dangerous storm heading north of New Salem, Sioux, and it's heading in your general direction. Thanks for the link, Theodore. I appreciate it. And Judy, thank you as well for sharing and tagging friends on the storms. So bear with me while I do a little technical work here, and I will load back up a look at the region. There's a smattering of thunderstorms in the area up near the Minot zone and points east and south near Max. And in McLean County, we have severe storms with huge hail, baseballs falling just off to the west of Max. So I'm going to keep the radar data up here. We have a tornado-warned storm heading in the general direction of Bismarck-Mandan. Rugby, a storm will be moving to the north of you, and another one will be moving to the south of you. Balta area, that area is going to be impacted by huge hail. Another cell with a large hail of about 1 inch in diameter is moving north of you. We'll be pushing up into that Belcourt area eventually, but that's a slow mover. I'm seeing some indication of pretty, well, what could be some shear on this cell right here that's moving in the general direction of Wells County and Harvey. You can see this line of storms has more of a southeasterly movement towards New Rockford and Carrington, Harvey, Sykeston. All of you will be in the path of that line of storms eventually. It's going to be a while. It's 8 o'clock at night. Let me go ahead and catch up on a couple of details here. So I'm going to pop off string and whistle, pop off screen and whistle. And what I'm doing here is just doing some work. I need to catch up on pictures and see if anybody else has Modest Clouds in Bismarck shared with me by Ann Jeanette. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's coming up soon. Thank you for your photos and your reports. I am also going to effort to do something else. So give me one moment here. All right, so we're going to try something. We're going to team up here. If you're watching Hutch, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson, switching you over to hutchesweather.com. One thing I want to point out on hutchesweather.com is the get emails from Hutch. Head over to hutchesweather.com on one of your windows if you're watching my coverage right now and apply for an email. These emails are not spam. I don't overuse it. And what I'm trying to do is send a little blast out now to some folks who are watching online. So bear with me while I do this. I'm on the Morton Oliver storm. Law enforcement is on its way to continue to keep its eyes on that storm. We have a number of chasers out in that general direction right now. Thank you very much. Oops. The tornado is dissipated, says Scott. Thank you. I saw on the feed there, that could be another wall. There is another area under the not easy to see part of the storm. I'm in Southwest Ohio, Cincinnati. How long before it gets to us? John, that's a long ways away from right now. If you take a look at hutchesweather.com, you can see these storms are in central parts of the Dakotas right now. So we're talking about a severe weather threat in parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota tomorrow. Those might have a nighttime chance of reaching you as you go into your Sunday. So that's what's going on there. Now, let me see what I can do here. And while I'm working and looking, I want you signing up for these emails. And let's see if I can get something working as of right now. Let's see. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. I'm just doing some work here so that I can alert as many people as I can. All right, still working to inform some people of what's going on here, so I appreciate your patience. All right, still working on it. All right. Hey, Timothy, good to have you on board. Thanks for joining. Scott, I decided not to go after the supercells today, waiting to see if the MCS forms. That'll be an interesting interaction here as they go through. There is a cluster starting to kind of try to come together. They're not fast moving, but that's moving across the Highway 83 corridor right now, isn't it? Cell moving through Otter Tail County as a southern storm, and it looks like there's an update on the tornado warning for that one I'll get to momentarily.
Fast teams need a fast CRM. And
all right, need to kill my audio. Thanks again to everybody watching on my YouTube channel, trying to grow that. Check it out. I'm broadcasting in 1080i, so you can watch me on your big screen TV if you have that app uploaded there. What I want to do is go here. All right, here we go. Okay, there we go. Let's go with this one. All right, so I'm going to do this. Okay, I think I'm almost done. I apologize for this. Just making sure things are working lickety split for my message sending. There we go. So go here, and here, and here. Got some photos getting uploaded, so thank you for those. I'm trying to keep up with those. Appreciate it, Nathan. Thanks from Bismarck. We've got a Bismarck Mamatis cloud one coming up, and we'll have an update on the tornado warned storm moving through Oliver County. It's south of Center. If you are in Center, the storm is south of you. It is heading toward the Bismarck-Mandan area. It's still about 45 minutes away, maybe a little bit more. Hi, Timothy. Hi, Brianna. Thanks for tagging friends. See if there's any other questions going on up here. And now, in this stream, if I can, I'm going to send this. Okay. So I've got all these platforms, and I just wanted to make people aware that that we are streaming live here so that they could catch the coverage as well if they wanted to. So we'll do this. Now, if you've signed up, you should be getting an email from Hutch shortly with a link to this live coverage. Let me know if you like that. I did not do it before this event because I wasn't planning on staying on this long. But I just sent that out. So let me know if you get the email, if you are subscribed. And again, if you're in the Bismarck area or if you know some relatives that are, let them know that Hutch is on covering. That's Hutch's old stomping grounds. I spent nearly a decade covering weather there as a chief meteorologist on television. That rotating storm continues to work its way to the south and east. Here is a look. There's still some shear evident in this, and I'll go ahead and pop back up here now so we can keep you updated. So what you're looking at here is Doppler radar data from the National Weather Service Forecast Office on the airport grounds in South Bismarck. It's pointing out towards the Oliver County, Morton County line right here, just north of New Salem, and in that general direction. We have what looks like some motion toward the radar in green, motion away from the radar. It's still fairly organized. Let me read the latest warning with you. Baseball-sized hail possible. Locations of rural southern Oliver County. It's crossing the county line right now with the Morton County area north of New Salem and north of Sweetbriar Lake. So you were asking about that a little bit ago. That's what's going on. Kim, thank you very much. I'm glad you got the email. I appreciate you signing up for the emails. Same storm by Center is trying to come down again, says someone. Okay, so thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and open my little other window up over here and keep my eyes on what's going on. Yeah, it does. Looks like a little finger of a storm is trying to put something down, and I do think that that one has it's not a high base storm, but it's not as low as some of those storms that we were seeing the other night that produced all of the damage in areas east of Bismarck, in Stutzman County, and on down in towards the Cass County Enderlin storm. But that's a dangerous storm with some tight rotation and a pretty good evidence of a updraft rain-free base with a wall cloud on it with some fingers hanging out the bottom. Pretty ominous there as it's working its way off to the east southeast in the general direction of the Bismarck area. So that is a look at that. Let's go to the regular radar data and take a look. This is a calculation of shear. It's kind of hard to see with all my flashing nonsense on it here, but there is shear in this area right on the county line, right where we saw the colors. As cloud tops go, some of these thunderstorms that produce strong updrafts and hail the size of baseballs can have very, very high cloud tops. This is taking a while to load, so if it doesn't load, I'm not going to sit here and wait forever. The other storms that are working their way up towards the areas north of Rugby and south of Rugby continue. Those warnings show those storms are continuing. We do have a tornado warning, and also there's a tornado report now that came out from the Weather Service. So a spotter saw multiple reports, or National Weather Service got multiple reports of tornadoes from the public and spotters at 7:41. So that was a while ago. It lasted 9 minutes before ending. Photos of the tornado were sent via social media. So thanks to those. Dean reminding Hutch Johnson that VFR not recommended. That's right. So you'll want to make sure that you're flying with instruments and not visual flight regulations. Thank you. As always, Dana, not Dean. My apologies to you, Dana. Thank you. Okay, so that from the information I'm seeing and getting, there are some really, really low-hanging clouds associated with this storm that are working its way to the east, southeast toward the Bismarck-Mandan area. There are plenty of people on the storm, and as we take a look at the regular radar data now, since my other fancy data is not coming up, we'll take a look at this. Here is the storm's latest location. We do see this outflow boundary here, a rear flank downdraft making its way back down and through. There is a new updraft part of the storm right here, and you see this little bite taken out. That's called a hook echo. That would be where the rotation is at cloud level, and that spin is still evident on the velocity display. You've got the hail core making its way out of center, not as bright, still strong, but not as bright as it was just moments ago. I will go up in elevation angle with the radar and look at the data up higher. And there are some hailstones very high in the sky up above on this. So it's still a hailer, folks. So this one's still capable of some sizable hail. The hail core is elevated, which increases the chance of large hailstones making their way down to the ground. If an updraft can punch reflectivities or what looks like hailstones this high up in the sky, then it's got a very, very focused and concentrated updraft with the storm. Also, with this particular storm, we're seeing that little hook echo elevated all the way up to higher levels in the atmosphere as well, which kind of confirms that that is a pretty organized rotation that reaches way up into the cloud, not just what you might be seeing from the ground level out there. So that's what we have going on with regards to this particular tornado warned storm south of center. You're in the tornado warning, but what we have for you is heavy rain and hail, particularly in northern or right along the highway here. I think that's the Highway 25 corridor there as it bends through Oliver County and now sneaking down into Morton County on the Morton County line. So this is the Doppler indicated tornado. Let's give you a linear path length now to the Mandan Bismarck area. With its current rate of movement, this is where I would project it to go. These can turn left and turn right a little bit, as we saw with the storms up north. It's about 20, let me get that better. It's about 19 to 20 miles away from the Bismarck-Mandan area as the crow flies. So a lot of scary looking clouds that I'm seeing from a chaser feed outside this. Is Becker County going to see storms tonight? Tara, thank you for your question. It'll be very late and likely after 1 or 2 in the morning before we have that risk. So that's what we're That's what we're looking at there. Okay, let me go ahead and hit the clear button on this line, and let's go ahead and measure the leading edge of the rotation is here, moving east-southeast at 25 miles per hour. Here's who's in the path. Mandan by 9:01, about 45 minutes, as I said just moments ago. Thanks for watching on Hutch's Weather on my YouTube channel. If you have friends and you're familiar with my work, share with them the video and let them know that we're covering the tornado-warned storm until it makes its way through or the warning is canceled for the Bismarck-Mandan area. I am going to go ahead and take this up to the north again. And I want to throw a shout out to my good friend, Tom Schrader. Tom Schrader has his site. He does what I do. His site is called, and Facebook page, Hey Tom is On. Hey Tom, I'm sure you're covering these storms right now, but we've got some baseballs, 2.75-inch hail reported, a few baseballs from the storm that was near George Lake, 3 miles west-southwest of George Lake. That's in the area up there near Carlsruhe and north of Drake. Carlsruhe is just getting pounded according to this. We continue to see that we have the blue high reflectivities of hail over Carlsruhe and areas off to the east of there. So that area continues to see. I'm afraid that we probably have some terrible flooding going on in these areas as well. Carlsruhe has been under the gun since about 6 o'clock with thunderstorms that first fired in your area, heavy rain and hail. Now, hail can skew our rainfall estimates, but that's what's going on. If you are in the Turtle Lake, Mercer area, if you're outside of Max, we had some baseballs and tennis balls fall on the ground out there. This storm exiting Max, Benedict, and is heading out towards the areas north and east of Garrison now. So if you're in Turtle Lake, you'll want to take heed. This storm is going to likely cross the highway corridor there in the county line as we go through the upcoming minutes. But you can see McLean County and the Highway 83 corridor seeing that storm working its way over the area right now, outside of Max and moving off into rural parts of northeast McLean County, Benedict, Butte, and Turtle Lake. And that is a solid hail core. This warning is in effect until 8:45. 1.25-inch diameter hail possible from that storm as it works its way to the east-southeast at 25 miles per hour. That's a dangerous hail-producing storm. We also have another one now forming south of the big lake out here, Lake Sakakawea, folks, Riverdale, and areas south. So Cole Harbor, Underwood, seeing some storms. I remember a storm out in the Cole Harbor area, and a gusty storm overnight blew apart the school out there. Is that right? Is that am I thinking of the right thing? That might have been Underwood. Underwood, Cole Harbor area suffered some damage back in the early 2000s from a storm out that way. This storm is just intensifying right now south of Riverdale, and that's what's going on there. I've got a feed coming in here, so let me check that for you. All right, we got a video shared, and let's see. Thunderstorm warning, new warning, Benson County. Okay, so for you folks out there in the Devil's Lake Basin, I've got a new warning to go over for you soon. Tornado warned storm continues. This neat little thing that you see here, that feature is called an outflow boundary. That's from a rear flank downdraft on the storm that's cutting in. It's meeting the updraft and the inflow right here. And along that boundary, we have a wall cloud that's lowering. And this storm is pretty visible from what I'm seeing from the correct side of the storm by some chasers out there. It has a history of producing a tornado heading into the Mandan area, and that estimated time of arrival is 9 p.m. So that's what's going on. If you are in the path of this storm, by the way, seek shelter and put as many walls between you and this storm. It's lowering, that cloud base is lowering right now, and it's likely, if it's not producing a tornado, it's the wall cloud is lowering down toward the ground, and it is very close to the ground. I can't see if the wall cloud is rotating, but on Doppler radar, we know that it's rotating. So dangerous storm is now on the Morton County, Oliver County line with its rotation. That white line there is the county line, and that rotation is producing a lowering cloud base called a wall cloud, and that is likely what I'm witnessing as it's making its way down to the ground or close to it now. So see if I can reload that feed and see what we got. Okay. All right. Turn that off. All right, so I'm going to close this out now so I can focus on the storm that's heading into the Benson County area. Morris-Benson tornado warned storm working its way towards the Bismarck area. We have huge hail that's been reported in and around Drake and points north. And this is the new warning that does include some of you folks out in the Benson County area. It's north of Maddock and Esmond for this cell out here. I'm going to pull the radar from the Minot Deering radar site here, and let's take a look. This is a storm that exited Balta. That little blip you see there in blue is the hail core. That'll be crossing into the warned area right now. It was moving fairly slowly before, and let's see if I recall, it's moving at 30 miles per hour now. 1.5-inch diameter hail possible from this storm. And again, you're in a tornado warned, tornado watch in this area, but we have not seen overly organized rotation from any of these cells. We'll continue to monitor that together. So the warning that you see here for Knox, York, Leeds, the Brinsmead area, as well as Minnewacan and Esmond, is for this cell right here, this little pimple. Now there's more cells on the south side here moving off to the east. You're going to see that near Maddock. That does not look to be as bad. There's one little hail core blip along and south of Highway 19 between Minnewacan and Esmond right now. This is the main cell here moving out. You do have more that will be moving in from areas west of the Esmond area. That's all moving off to the east at 30 miles per hour. Just drawing a look at this hail core that is the strongest. You'll get rain before this in Leeds or the Leeds area, but this is moving at a clip of about 30 miles per hour and puts it in Leeds by 8:57, Brinsmead by 9:05. So keep that in mind. Grand Forks, you can see from this that they're a long ways away from you as the crow flies. So it's going to be a while. And at the latest radar future radar forecasts that I was showing, these storms don't arrive until after midnight. It is now 8:30. They can speed up, moving at 30 miles per hour. And as the crow flies here, this line of storms is from Devil's Lake about 30 miles to 40 miles away. So 9:30 to 9, let's go with 9:10 to 9:15 for the Devil's Lake area ETA. Okay. That does include you folks on the lake. If you happen to be in the old camper and you're camping out at the lake, please heed these warnings and pay attention to the storms. Moving at 30 miles per hour, these storms are 120 miles away from the Grand Forks area. So at 30 miles per hour, you can do a little calculations there. It's about 4 hours away. So we're after midnight in Grand Forks still. Those can speed up. If you're in Jamestown, Stutsman County area as the crow flies, let me do a new line and linear estimate for you. I know that many of you in Spiritwood, Jamestown, Medina, all of northern parts of Stutsman County are on edge because of what happened last weekend. And these storms will be possibly impacting your area. If you happen to be in and around the New Rockford area, they're about an hour and 10 minutes away from you. These could be moving in toward Carrington in about 2 hours and Cooperstown in about 2 to 3 hours at their current rate of speed. So keep that in mind. That's Hutch's quick math done in his head. As we take a look at the Harvey area here, this cluster of very large hail producing storms is only, wow, it's only, how far away is that? Oops, I'm looking at something else. From Harvey, that core of storms is only 25 miles away from you, moving at 30 miles per hour. It's about 9:15 ETA arrival for you in the Wells County area. Let me clear that. Let me clear that. Okay. Now, if we go back to the linear tracking of some of these storms that are heading into the Jamestown area, the leading edge of some of these, as far as northern Stutsman County goes, and Barnes County, we're talking about 90 miles at 30 miles an hour. So you're looking at 3 hours. So 8, 9, 10, it's about 11:30 at night or so before they make their way there. Valley City, that's yet another hour away from parts of Barnes County, depending on what part these want to travel to. And there's no guarantee that they will continue in the same direction. So 120 miles away at 30 miles per hour is 4 hours away. You're looking at 12:30 there. That's even later. And I've been saying 1 to 2 a.m. for the Fargo area, and out in Lakes Country, it's even later. So there's a lot to happen between now and then. So worrying about the Bismarck-Mandan area for the line of storms working their way through. If you're in Mobridge, you got a line of storms heading out of the Eagle Butte area, heading in towards you near Isabel. I'm not switching the radar away from the Bismarck radar right now. Let's put that back on and let's get this puppy looked at here. Still has a very distinct curve to it right here, a hook right there to it. That is a hook echo, a classic hook echo. I am going to reload a feed here if I can load it up. And let me see if I can find. There we go. Pardon me while I look around here. Hi, Pedro. I think Pedro is ready for a break. All right. So I do believe the feed that I was looking at before has gone away. Yeah. Okay, so there isn't a live feed that I'm looking at for this storm that's moving in the Bismarck-Mandan area right now. So what we're looking at is this very intense looking storm with a hail core that's wrapping around. It's still got the distinct finger look shape to it. As far as we're looking at here, and I'm keeping your also laughed at the latest HRR run. Yeah. We won't put that one up. We did have it up here a little bit ago though. Scott, thank you for that. Is Towner getting hit? Okay, so let me quick run up to Towner and answer your question, Teresa, and show you that, yeah, there are storms in and around Towner that are heading into the area, but they're kind of exiting Towner now. So the hailstorm that was in Towner is now moving off to areas north of Rugby, and it is, well, at least on that radar from Bismarck, it's decreasing in intensity. If I switch to the area radar in Deering, that's a very strong cell now moving towards Wolford and Rolette and Rugby. It's going to be north of Rugby, and that does have a little hook on it, a little signature there. There's some hail core potential with this storm. This is a thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds, but it's exited Towner. So that's what's going on there. Now, if you're looking at the Can-Do area, that's going to be moving in that general direction. We do have Benson County starting to see some storm activity pushing in from the left, moving out of Balta. There's a warning for the Knox, York, and Leeds area, but this is the main event right here. That little heater has been pushing around for some time. If we do take a look at some velocity data on this storm line here that's working its way through, let's go ahead and pop that up for you. We do have, okay, so for these storms, I don't see a lot of strong defined velocity until we get down toward Balfour here, and that storm could have some pretty strong rotation on it here. So Karlsruhe, there is a hail report there. That place was under the gun and continues to be. We got 1.3-inch hail reported there and winds of about 50 miles per hour. Here is a little couplet showing up between Balfour and Drake from this storm that would be moving in your general direction. So that could be some pretty tight rotation. It is some tight rotation that's making its way towards areas just north of Balfour right now and Drake in the upcoming moments. Now, this storm is moving off at 22 miles per hour just south of east. Let me track this rotating part of this storm here. South and east. We'll put it closer to 30 miles per hour. Balfour by 8:30, so now, and it will be making its way towards Drake by 8:46 and Animus by 8:59. Again, this is not a tornado warning. It's a rotating thunderstorm with tight rotation. That doesn't mean a tornado is on the ground. And if there was something, the National Weather Service would be putting out a warning for it. But it does look like that it's developing some rotation as it's moving towards Drake. Keep that in mind. Animus by 8:59, that rotating part of the cell could be in your neck of the woods as well. That's moving in the general direction of Harvey. For the Garrison area and the northern parts of, well, eastern parts, I should say, of McLean County, We are seeing some storms work their way through the areas north of Turtle Lake. I'm going to switch back to the Bismarck radar. It's a little closer, and I need it on for the storm warning. This looks to be like a outflow dominant storm right now, but we'll see. There's still some rotation in this. Red is movement away. Green is strong movement too. So that storm is likely putting out some very gusty straight line winds that are heading in the general direction of Bismarck Mandan right now. There is still some rotation associated on the north and east side right here with regards to that. So that's that outflow dominant part. And then there is the rotating couplet right there. So it's still dangerous, still rotating. The tornado warning is in effect until 8:45 p.m. Now I'm going to go direct velocity and measure the winds coming at Bismarck. It's very close to the radar site in the Bismarck area out there by the airport. Now look at how bright the green is here. This shows us the wind speeds measured by radar at cloud level, not necessarily what's at the ground, but it gives us a good idea of the winds that could be impacting the Bismarck area. So if you're at the ballparks there for the McQuades, this windy thunderstorm has a tornado warning. It is showing some wind velocities from the Doppler radar data here of about 50 miles per hour. We'll keep our eyes on this as it works its way through. So wind gusts over 50 miles per hour will be possible. The hail core with regard to this cell is just to the north, and basically, wow, that's north of the Bismarck Mandan area. It's basically moving due east. This rotating storm has really been following the county line since north of New Salem and moving due east. So that's a good sign, but there is a gusty outflow from this at about 50 miles per hour that's heading towards maybe areas near Sweetbriar Lake here. Sweetbriar and areas north of the highway right here, right? It's in this area. That's where I'm seeing the rotating part of this thunderstorm heading east, due east, and an outflow boundary is coming your way along the I-94 corridor as it works its way off to the east. So that's what's going on right there right now. Looking for any other information coming in from the Weather Service real quickly on this storm. So pardon me while I take a look at that. All right, so I'm seeing not much from the stream in the Bismarck area. I'm going to switch to the Grand Forks area, and oh, they got a similar timing. We just went over this here just a minute ago, and it looks like it's going to be a late night for the Southern Valley for this main line of storms. Let me take you through the forecast here. Nitro ND, is Voltaire getting hit? So we'll take a look at some of your questions here. I got a lot of them. Trying my best. The north central part of North Dakota, east of Minot, is getting hit right now. Now Voltaire, let's see. Velva, Sawyer, that area is definitely seeing some storminess. Let's go back to the radar. Yeah, I think it's pretty much out or moving out of the area. There is Voltaire that is getting some heavy rain, but the main part of the core of the hail has moved out of Karlsruhe. Two hail reports in Karlsruhe from this storm as it moved through that area. It's just been parked over Voltaire. And quite frankly, you could have some flooding concerns in and around this area with the amount of rain and how long the storms were in the Voltaire area. So this is going to be exiting your area in the upcoming minutes if you're asking about Voltaire and you are there. So that's what's going on. Are we expecting these to come to Fargo later tonight? Let's go over that. Let's look at the latest model data here, and I'm going to pop up the one that I like the goodest. This is the one that I heard was getting laughed at, the latest run of the HRRR, showing that there is not much going on and showing nothing happens and more forms down here out of South Dakota and moves through. But with it has nothing going on right now that we see. We have the one cell here that's the tornado warning storm that moves that through Stutzman County and interacts here. Could this happen? Yeah, but it's not necessarily initializing very good. And that's the latest run from that model. Let me go and see if I've got anything more fun. Now, this is a North American model, and it might be kind of fun to see what it was showing. This might be a little more gooder. It has this linear line of storms working their way out of Minot, heading through the Devil's Lake Basin at 3Z. 3Z is, well, that's 24 plus 3, that's 27 minus 5. So that's 2,200 hours, and that's 10 o'clock. So here's your 10 o'clock snapshot, right? Bismarck, is it going to be there earlier? It's going to be there just a little bit earlier, but it's pretty good for this model that ran earlier in the day. This line will basically make its way at midnight, and it will be closing in on Grand Forks. It will be closing in on the Highway 200 corridor there from Cooperstown through, say, Hatton and out towards Mayville. And all the way down south. Now you're looking at, well, there's Fargo, there is Valley City, also seeing it, Jamestown, and out to the west. So if you are in the Cullum area and down towards the Wishick and Ashley area, that's when the storms move through your area. Again, this is midnight. So there's the midnight timeline. Shall we carry on? Let's carry on. Now, as we go towards 1 a.m., boom, there's Fargo. We're on the doorstep and Grand Forks area. And then this blasts through Grand Forks and Fargo and moves into western Minnesota as we go towards 2 a.m. Could they still be severe? Yes, but by that time, mainly the wind threat looks to be the main threat as we go through. We did not get as heated here. We don't have as much energy in our atmosphere here. So that's what's going on. Wow, thank you for the stars and the support. I appreciate each and every one of you for helping keep Hutch's weather in mind, and I do appreciate you very much. So thank you. So that's a look at the timing as we go through. So we're talking about, after 10 o'clock as we go in through the Devil's Lake Basin and in towards Grand Forks as we approach the midnight time frame, 1 a.m. for Fargo and 2 a.m. out in western Minnesota. Thanks for watching your flock on this Friday night. Bacon whiskey. Woo! All right. Sounds like fun. I love bacon. Bacon makes everything better. But with the weather we've had around our area lately, it's not fun to not let these storms be covered. So let's do it. Bismarck, look at this. Here's the good news. This storm formed out here off to the west of center. That was the tornado, and it's made its way there. So what we can do, this is the rotating part of the storm. This is the area of concern right here. I'm going to draw a line from the tornado touchdown confirmation area right here, if I can. All right, there we go. Sorry, I didn't have my line drawer. There we go. This is the direction of movement of the storm thus far, and it's moved 20 miles from that original touchdown point. Now we can go this way along that same line and get an idea. We'll go through where it is now and we'll draw a straight marker and show you the path, the most likely path of this storm. It really has crept along the Oliver County line with Morton County. So it's moving a little bit more east than it is north. This might be the best idea that we can get as far as where the rotating part of this storm is going to likely hang. It'll be on the south side of this complex. This is still a monster storm because it's still producing big time hail reflectivities. It's going to be heavy raining right now on Highway 83 north of town. And as we take a look at this puppy, it'll be crossing the Highway 83 corridor here in just a bit. It does look like it will stay. The rotating part of the storm will stay on the north side of the metro area of Bismarck and Mandan. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's see if I can turn my line off now. Okay. And I'm apparently labeling some streets here, so we'll turn that off too. This is interesting. Look at the hail. And look at all the lightning happening where there's no rain. It looks like there's no thunderstorm there. This thunderstorm, with its towering top reaching up over the top, is creating a lot of static, a lot of electricity. That's what lightning is. And bam, we're getting all this lightning out ahead of the storm. If you're in Wing, if you're in Tuttle, if you're in McCluskey, the lightning from these must be extremely strong to make it from the towering top of the anvil down to the ground over where you are. This isn't coming from the normal rain. And look at the energy in these. So you got 2.5 picojoules of energy from some of these flashes here that are going on. This one just seconds ago, the white one here near Wing. So there's a lot of dangerous lightning that's heading in on the Wing area right now. Now, back to the tornado warning. The tornado warned storm is right here. There is an outflow boundary that we're seeing here, a gust of wind, a burp of wind out of this that could Scott says there's a funnel on this puppy, so I got to reload and see what I can see here. But essentially, thank you for the report, Scott. So funnel reported on this storm as it's working its way right towards northeastern Morton County right now. Areas just north of the Mandan area right now, and that's where the storm is. Now, if we take a look at the velocity display one more time here from the radar in Bismarck, we do see some motion towards Bismarck Mandan on the south side, and there is some rotation right here evident on the Doppler radar right here. And then there's some, well, this would be clockwise rotation, which would be anticyclonic. We can have anticyclonic tornadoes. Some clouds are really, really low. Just saw it on a stream. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. What's the echo top read? Thank you. I tried to load that up just a bit ago, Andrew. I'm going to load up my other radar and show that information. It was the highest storm on there. Let me go ahead and take a look. There's tight rotation too showing up on this other algorithm I have going on. So let me go to echo tops here. Pardon me. Let me make sure I'm at the Bismarck radar site too. Dun, da, da. Okay, so up here. Oh, golly. Single site Bismarck. Okay, here we go. Okay, I can see that it's moving toward the 1804 corridor. Let me switch radars for you and we'll look at this one together. Single site radar data, you're looking at the time of 8:39. That's the timestamp. 1-inch diameter hail estimated from this, moving south and east. This is the outflow boundary that's blowing some wind and gusty wind towards Mandan. You may see some low clouds, and you may see what's called a roll cloud. This long line looks like a snake rolling out from it. The rotating part of the storm remains near the county line up to the north. As I take this over to the reflectivity data here, let me go ahead and do that. Storm relative reflectivity. It looks a lot similar to what we were looking at before, but when I look at actual velocity, let me look at the wind speeds with this. Base velocity from the lowest level scan. I'm not seeing any 90 mile an hour winds or anything like that coming with this storm towards Bismarck, at least at this lower level. There can be some winds from the upper levels of the atmosphere mixed down, so it could produce some gusts in isolated locations that could be a little bit higher. Let me see if I can change the elevation angle on this. Not right now. I'm not going to. Let's go to the base reflectivity. So there you have it. The hail is crossing over the 1804 corridor there, just north of the Bismarck-Mandan area. It's crossing out into Burleigh County right now with some of the hail core. As far as the velocity couplet goes, it is still present. It's not far from North Mandan. So keep that in mind. Let's go to a look at a cam here, a DOT cam and some road cams. And I know I've got a few out there in the Bismarck area. So let's take a look at those real quickly as this storm enters close to the capital city and mainly in the northern part of the metro area. So I'll go to the northernmost camera and see what I can see. Here you go. This is a pretty good view of it here. As you can see the tail on the end of this storm. This is moving past this camera now. Let me see if I've got another view. There's the dark 30 shot of it right there. Downdraft part of the storm here where we got rain and hail, and there we've got some light showing through the base of the cloud there. That would be the updraft part of the storm. And there, as we're looking, I believe, in the general direction of you folks in the Bismarck-Mandan area, the darkening of the skies to the north of the highway there, or the interstate, I should say. Now let's get you in this view of north of town here. This is from Highway 83 on the north side. This, I believe, is looking north. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, though. Yeah, that was looking north. That one might be looking northwest. And I'm not seeing much else from that particular camera view. Let's go to the west side of town here, near the high school in the Rock Haven area and the refinery, as we take a look at what the skies look like there. So we do have some darkening skies in the Bismarck-Mandan area here. I'm just not seeing any... it's a little bit farther north than that, and I don't have a good camera here. This one might be a better one. Okay, so here, remember I was talking about that little roll cloud? That might be what we're looking at the lower edge of. I can't see up any higher than that. And the good news is I'm not seeing on any of these a funnel on the ground near the town, but the rotation is a little bit north of that, and it's still pretty strong. Look at where it is here on my radar as this walks its way into town. If you are in the Mandan area on the north side of town near the refinery and near, well, the old hockey arena, and on the north side of town, near Highway 25's intersection right here. This is where you want to be seeking shelter right now. So you got this highway and this highway. It's crossing this highway right now, and there is a pretty gusty batch of wind, and the National Weather Service has decided to replace this with a severe thunderstorm warning now. The tornado warning has just been allowed to expire as it makes its way into the Bismarck-Mandan area. Bismarck and Mandan and areas in northern parts of the metro are on the lookout here for severe thunderstorm activity. 2.5-inch diameter hail possible, particularly on the north side of this. And we do have the considerable damage threat. A tornado remains possible, and it's moving east at 10 miles per hour. So here we go. As it's moving in, you can see that we do have some flow. This is storm relative velocity. So we're looking at the pocket here, the rotating part of the storm on the north side. It's moving southward a little bit. So it is moving into the north side of Bismarck and Mandan right now, right by 1806. On the east side of the Missouri River channel here, it's crossing right over that Highway 22 corridor, I believe it is. And it's working its way right into the north side of Mandan right now as you're getting onto the edge of town here, the curve as you drop down into the Bismarck-Mandan River Valley. Okay, so apparently the funnel dissipated that was associated with this, so thank you for your update, Scott. We take a look at the straight velocity data. I can get some estimates of the kinds of winds that might be blowing into the Bismarck-Mandan area with regards to this storm, so let's take a look at that right now. And we're looking at some isolated areas here where the pixels are going over 50, 55 miles per hour. And again, the hail core with this storm is mainly on the north side up here. This is wind blowing straight toward the radar site here at the airport. There's Lincoln. Here's the airport site, and that is the wind blowing inbound toward the radar site. There's outbound wind up here, so this is the rotating and shear part of the storm just north of Mandan right now. So as the crow flies, that is from Mandan city center to where the rotating part of the storm is. It's 7 miles to the north, 7 miles to the northwest of the Mandan area. That is where we're seeing that. That is crossing over and will be very near the 1806 corridor there as it's coming into town. I'm currently watching this exact spot out my front door. Okay, be safe, Hannah. Thank you for keeping us informed as to what you see, because it's coming off that hill, right? So as it drops into the bowl of Mandan there and heads down right into the river valley, you know that hill that takes you downtown here, right from this curve right here and along the river valley and the river's edge up here, that rotation part. There's not a lot of really strong outbound wind there, but it'll be interesting to see. There are some core velocity values here of 50 plus mile per hour winds that I'm seeing. And my radar software here, let's take a look at what's going on with regard to somebody asked about the cloud top heights with this. As it moves in and over the river valley right now, you get a little bit of a blank view right now while it's loading data, hopefully. Okay, it's not going to load that data up. I have no confidence in that. Let's see about the hail severe chance, if it pulls anything up on that. Okay, so I'm going to abort that idea and go right back to this. So the hail core with this storm is north near the Oliver, Morton, Burleigh County line, just on the north side of Bismarck. A lot of building on Bismarck straight population all the way up to here. So if you're on the north side of town here on 83, this hail core with 1-inch diameter hail will be moving up in that general direction. Here's the rotating part of the storm right here where the bite's taken out of it. That's called a hook echo. That'll be moving over 1804 momentarily. Melissa, will this hit Fargo? It's a long ways away, and we're looking at 1 to 2 a.m. before we have storms at the present calculation of when they might make their way here. There's a couple of other storms following up the backside of this one that are forming. Kind of look like little worms crawling across the screen there, south of Washburn and south of the Stanton area right now. A couple of other forming storms right now. But the big event now moving into the Bismarck-Mandan area, we do have a tornado warning outside of Eagle Butte heading towards Lake Oahe. This is a tornado warned storm here. So if you are in the Lake Oahe area camping, get out of campers and seek shelter in a sturdy structure. So you do not want to be in the camper and in the tent. This is also a part of a bowing line segment here. And this tornado warned storm is at the apex of the bow where it's pushing out the most. So Doppler indicated rotation from this storm. The warning is until 9:15. So let me time this out for you in the path of this particular storm on or around Lake Oahe. So a severe line of thunderstorms with an embedded tornado moving off to the east-northeast will put it at about 30 miles per hour. And it's basically over rural portions of the county and heading toward Lake Oahe in the upcoming 1 hour. So be advised if you're in this area that you want to make plans now to where you can seek shelter. Some wind gusts from this storm are estimated to be possibly as high as 60 miles per hour. So stay away from trees and seek shelter in a sturdy structure with regard to that particular storm. Chamberlain still seeing some I-90 corridor activity there. West of Sioux Falls, moving off to the east-southeast toward the Nebraska border. A lot of thunderstorm warnings there for that activity. Observed wind threat of 70 miles per hour down there. So windy thunderstorms in southern South Dakota. Bismarck with a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It almost looks like we got two distinct cells now with the outflow of one. Wonder what's going on with the updraft here if this one's going to split too. It'll be interesting to see. It kind of looks like it might. So you get the rotation on a supercell storm like this, and sometimes this southern one likes to become a right mover. Top showing up 60,000 foot. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and take a look at those as we go through. Now, the storm is moving into north parts of Bismarck right now in Burleigh County, just north of Bismarck as the crow flies. That's where the hail core is. So when we look at the Bismarck area, we're looking at 10 miles north of town. But, and that from the State Street exit there, as you are exiting I-94, it's not quite that far. Let me go ahead and draw another line there. Okay, so it's about 9 miles from the Highway 83 exit off of I-94 north of town where that hail core is going to be passing. So if you're in that area, prepare for some sizable hail from this cell as it works its way through. There is a hail report here on the storm in Morton County. Look at that. 2.8 ridiculous inches of hail, baseballs falling at the time of the report. The time of the report was 8:42. 10 minutes ago, baseballs were falling from the sky up there on the Morton County line there by 1806. And who was it that said that they were watching the storm from that exact location? Does this include Bemidji and Cass Lake? Michael, thank you for your question. Bemidji and Cass Lake, it will likely be 4 in the morning before any storms make their way towards you. Most models have these dissipating and moving into southern Minnesota. So I'll put that into your mind right now. Baseball-sized hail moving across the county line, the 1804 corridor here and the 1806 corridor. And as we take a look up north, a couple of more storms forming up there. So the monster hail threat looks to be the main threat. We do still have some rotation. Looks like this storm, see this? It looks like they're unzipping. It looks like this one's going to head southeast and this one might continue off to the east. It'll be interesting to see, but that's what my gut is telling me is going on right there. Drake, if you are in Drake and you're here, we do have a report of 1-inch diameter hail reported right at the bend in the county line there. Quarter size hail ongoing at the time of the call, and that was at 8:32, and that there's another hail core moving over your area. Let me get to a closer radar. We'll see what's heading into Leeds and Maddock right now, as well as a large hail-producing storm is making its way south of Leeds, right towards Brinsmead, Churches Ferry. So if you are on the big lake here, this is a very windy thunderstorm with the potential for some hail. If you do have a hail report, you can upload your hail reports here on hutchesweather.com. This storm will be near the Brinsmead area by 9:20. So prepare for that. If you happen to be in the camper, it's a good idea to find that sturdy structure elsewhere. The wind threat from this particular storm here is about 60 mile per hour gusts. So you'll want to get into a sturdy structure away from windows that can topple things like those campers. Hannah did. Thank you. Batter up, says Scott, for the baseball-sized hail that was reported north of Bismarck. Now we look at Drake. We got that hail of 1 inch reported, 1.5 inch north of Drake and Balfour, and 2.8 inch baseball-sized hail there, 3 miles southwest of George Lake. That one was a little bit earlier, though. So McCluskey, you got a storm warning for Sheridan County here for this McLean County storm moving out of McLean County now. This one has got a hail core on it. There are hail reports as it moved south of max of 1 3/4 inch in diameter. Looking like that storm is very strong still. Hail 1 1/4 inch diameter moving east at 26 miles per hour. So if you happen to be in McCluskey, this looks like it's going to pass just to the north of you. It's not far from Butte here. And at 26 miles per hour, it will be near Butte by now, and then on towards the Martin area by 9:48. Okay, back down to Bismarck we go with a look at this storm. Now, as you see, the south side of town and basically staying along and north of Interstate 94 right now is this storm. As we take a look at the rotation with it, the threat is for baseball-sized hail. There has been a report of baseball-sized hail on the Morton County side of the river, just north of Mandan, just north of the bend in the interstate there. When is it supposed to hit Fargo? Alicia, thanks for asking. This storm will likely be, not this particular storm, but the line of storms will have the greatest chance of impacting us at around 1 a.m. And that's a long time away yet, but 1 a.m. They're just now moving through central North Dakota and the Devil's Lake Basin. So here's the big picture. Tornado possible tag on the Bismarck storm has still been maintained by the National Weather Service. So let Hutch take a look at this storm here, and we'll pull the radar back to Bismarck. I'm going to take a look at the storm relative velocity here and see if I can see anything that indicates what's going on with that. Sylvia, some clouds are really, really low. Thank you for your observation. And Slunky has a thunderstorm icon on there. So that's what's going on there. Come on, Bismarck, waiting for the storm relative velocity. Where are you? Load me up. Okay, I'm going to have to play a game here and load up some other data. Let's let this refresh. This is the storm that's moving through Bismarck. The hail core is on the north side of the metro and north side of the interstate. It's about 8 to 10 miles north of the State Street exit off of the interstate. This hail has been baseball-sized hail reported, and it's moving east at about 25 miles per hour. Now let's go back to the velocity display and see what kind of winds this puppy is cranking out. Now as we take a look at this, we have some winds that are picking up a little bit. I see some pink pixels in there. Got to be cautious near roads because sometimes we can get traffic that gets picked up when it gets this close to the radar. But what we're going to see here is, I think, some enhanced wind speeds here of about 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. So 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts will be possible on the north side of Mandan and north parts of Bismarck with this storm as it makes its way in. It does look like the main threat for the hail will stay just north of the metro area. That is good news for everybody there. But if you're in the path of this, let us know what you're seeing there. There's been some baseball-sized hail reported with this storm making its way north of Bismarck now. So this is what we have going on. Let me take a look at the storm relative velocity, which will factor in the storm's motion. And double checking on my friends at the National Weather Service to see if I've got any more feedback. Okay. All right. So I'm caught up. I'm not seeing any more reports of funnel clouds. That's good. There's a lot of eyeballs in and around the Bismarck Mandan area. Denise asking if it will hit Lincoln. In Lincoln, you'll be on the south side of this storm. You could still get some wind, but I do think that all of the hail will remain on the north side of your area. You are in the thunderstorm warning. You can see this green area here. That's a gust front blowing out of the storm right there, and that's some very heavy wind. The hail is on the north side where you see this triangle here. So I will go ahead and put that back up for us so we can take a look at where the hail core is. The hail core remains a good 10 miles on the north side of town. And it continues to drift into the northern portions of Burleigh County north of I-94 right now. So that's what's going on here with this storm. As far as the rotation goes, that little hook signature we were seeing seems to be dissipating. If there is one, it would be just north of the going over the river valley right now. And that looks to be where the main threat is going to be. As I take a look at the velocity display, you can see the wind is coming down towards Bismarck and Mandan, right into town, right into downtown Mandan right now and on the north side of town. And that will be pushing in towards Bismarck, the airport in Lincoln. But it does look like the main core of this storm with the hail threat is moving off to the east with those baseballs and hail. So that's what's going on in the Bismarck area as that storm is making its way skirting right through. We got a new warning for Washburn and Center. This is for 1¼ inch diameter hail for a storm moving east at 22 miles per hour. So just after storm 1, you got storm 2 moving through. This storm is moving at about 22 miles per hour. The warning is for 1 hour until 10 o'clock. And again, you're looking at the velocity data here, this is straight velocity. Let me go to the storm relative so we can factor out the storm's motion. And we don't see a real clear evidence of anything too strong with regards to organized rotation with this cell. Northern Oliver County. And as we go into parts of the Mercer County area, McLean County, these areas are seeing the Stanton area mainly on the south side of you. So hail will be the main threat along with some gusty straight line winds with this particular storm here. And again, I've alluded to this once before. I'm not sure I'll be able to load this data up, but I'll try. Storm total precipitation estimates from the Doppler radar here. This will be about the second round of storms moving through this area. Here we go. It's loaded up. I like this. Okay, so now Oliver County with another band of showers making their way through. Radar estimates of upwards of 1 to 1.5 inches of rain has fallen in these areas. Then as we sneak down, this is old data because I know Bismarck has to have something coming across there. The storms that are in that Karlsruhe area, radar estimates here of about 1 to 2.5 or 3 inches of rain showing up on the scans here. And max, as the storms crossed in that area, about 3/4 of an inch. So some of these areas are getting hit by multiple storms in a process that, I don't know if I'd call this one training, but there's another batch of showers and thunderstorms moving through the Oliver County area here that will be adding insult to the injury of the 1.5 inches that have already fallen. So watch for some flooding potential on low water crossings and stay away from those unfamiliar roads. What's it looking like for Devil's Lake? You got some storms moving into your general area right now. Here's a look at the latest radar scans there. As far as shear goes, we have a lot of warnings up in the Devil's Lake Basin, and I'm going to switch to a closer radar. We'll go to the Deering radar here up in the Minot area. If it will let me switch over here, pardon me. Okay, there we go. So moving in on Leeds and areas north of Maddock, we have a cluster of thunderstorms. I'll have to go back to the regular radar display. I'm not seeing a lot of evidence of tight rotation. You are in the tornado watch area, but this is good news, right? What we are seeing is some hail potential with this cell. There have been, I don't see a hail report on this, but the newest lightning flashes here showing that we've got some pretty stout lightning. Brinsmade and on towards Church's Ferry, you got this little backward C shape. So some gusty winds are approaching the Devil's Lake area right now on the lake, not the town yet of Devil's Lake. This storm, as the crow flies, is a ways away from the Devil's Lake area, and the leading edge of the first hail core toward Devil's Lake is 18 miles away. It's moving at about 25 miles per hour. So as we go towards about 9:35 or so, that storm will be making its way into your area in Devil's Lake. So if you are in Devil's Lake, just be prepared to get out of things like those campers. There is a tornado watch. We have not seen tornadoes from these storms on the north side here as of yet. You are in the tornado warning, and the environment does seem to show that there is some spin or shear in the atmosphere. And I'll look one more time at the rotation. And this storm area here, that's near Animus and north of Martin, south of Balta, showing some reds and greens next to each other. But what you're looking at here is, well, I'm not seeing, there is a little notch where there is some gate to gate type shear over here. So there is some spin on that leading edge, but mainly this is going to be some very strong outflow of winds that will be making its way into areas along the Highway 3 corridor here north of Harvey. Gusty straight line winds will be possible, and there could be some spin or shear in that storm as it works its way north of Animus. The hail threat has been observed, 1.5-inch diameter hail. The warning is in effect for the next 11 minutes. 60 mile per hour winds, what the Weather Service is saying with regards to the potential for that. As I take a look at some of the straight velocity data here, let's see what it's measuring up at cloud level. This looks pretty bright. So we got some 55 to 60 mile per hour winds associated with this storm that are blowing out and away from the Deering radar towards Martin. So not everybody's going to get the 60 mile per hour winds, but that could be the case. So this is your update. Bismarck Mandan, the main brunt of that particular storm, has passed just to the north of you. There is some weak shear showing up on the backside of the storm right here where you see that weak red. That's motion away from the radar, motion towards. The hail core is mainly staying north of the interstate. Let's go ahead and take a look at where that is right now. Boy, oh boy, it's intensifying again. This one's dumped some baseballs right over here. Now it's intensifying as it's moving out towards, say, areas north of Minokan now. Basically, due north of Lincoln and Minokan being over here, it's staying north of the interstate for now. And you can see some of the populated road maps here on the north side of the metro area are just skirting this very large hail potential with this storm. The latest from the National Weather Service says it's moving east at 22 miles per hour. 2.5-inch hail is going to be the main threat, but we could get some gusts out of it, burping out at about 60 miles per hour. Is Valley City getting it again? Looking at the movement of these storms, I'm going to go up on this other radar and show you because it's a little easier to load a faster loop on it. So let me load that up. All right. Tornado watch in the red box until 1 in the morning. Valley City, you are not in the tornado watch. Jamestown is in the tornado watch. Now, we have had a tornadic storm that produced a tornado here in Oliver County some time ago. It's been the only game in town with that, but we have had some shear and spin in the clouds. Big time hail now heading up and showing on a marker here 2 inches out east of the Minot area as well. Now, this motion here, as I loop it, you can kind of get a feel. I'm going to go for about an hour here and let it load up. It won't take it too long. And you can see the motion of these storms is just creeping, crawling away to the east. These are spreading to the east-southeast now. They're just entering Wells County. It looks like it's strengthening here. We got a 1-inch hail marker here from this cell that's strengthening north of Harvey. So some hail moving in the northern parts of Wells County that'll be punching into the, if you're down here in Maddock and Esmond, these areas have a hail core right here starting to just develop and push its way to the north and east. This whole line is moving off to the east-southeast, but it's kind of creeping along at about 25-30 miles per hour. So it's going to take a bit of time before it gets here. This storm, likewise, moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So you can kind of see, and I'll just draw a line here, that upon analysis, a little bit ago, here was the Devil's Lake Basin out towards Steele and Bismarck. It's now approaching the 9 o'clock. It is the 9 o'clock hour. So we're looking at about 10 o'clock there. You go another 30 miles. This will be about the 11 o'clock hour. If that, 11 to midnight for Jamestown, because this thing is really creeping along, but it does have a southeasterly movement. So if you're in Kidder County, Steele, if you are in Medina, Cleveland, and areas north near Woodworth, that storm is pushing in towards your area. But there's just one game in town right now. This line could fill in. This line not necessarily congealing into a complex of thunderstorms. So they still have this very unique individual thunderstorm appearance to them. So we're not seeing one of these really big MCSs form like we did. That's called a mesoscale convective system. Not seeing that yet. If it were to form one of those, this thing might have more legs going into the overnight hours. We'll see if something happens. Remember, as this moves farther east, the temperatures didn't get as hot. There is still moisture in the air, though, so there'll be some chance for this storm lasting well into the nighttime hours. So here you go, Devil's Lake. If you are in this area now, you've got some storms pushing their way in. Now, if I carry my pencil out here towards Grand Forks, we're looking at midnight for Grand Forks Valley City. I'm just drawing these an hour at a time and in 30-mile increments at 30 miles per hour. Roseau County, Marshall County, Pennington, Red Lake, and Polk counties in Fargo. And we're talking midnight to 1 a.m. for this area. And then after that for parts of western Minnesota. Watching from Idaho, but North Dakota is the home state. Kim D, thanks for watching. Appreciate you for watching. Thanks for all of you for tuning in and watching Hutch's weather tonight. Not only that, just trying to make sure people in the lakes area here have ample warning of what's going on. And indeed, the storm here now moving into Burleigh County and south of Regan is quite strong again. And the hail core looks to be picking up with this storm once again. It is moving into areas near the rest stop on the east side of the Bismarck-Mandan area here. It is kind of moving just in an ever so gradual southerly direction. Another hail report, 1 3/4 inches, as well as baseballs, a few baseballs. So this storm has a history of baseball-sized hail. Most presently, 1 3/4 inch diameter hail working its way down into our area. And the Washburn area and point south, seeing near Wilton, we have a storm that's going to be pushing in towards you all. It's a line of hail here. It's going to be pushing its through a couple of different thunderstorm cells in that vicinity that are moving their way through. This one moving east, this one moving a little bit more north and east on the latest scans that I'm looking at here. So we do have some development in northern parts of Kidder County. That's remained non-severe. And this cell that developed near the Harvey area and is pushing up near Maddock and Esmond, that one is pretty stout as well and could be capable of producing some 1-inch diameter hail. If you're in Maddock, if you're in Esmond, I would prepare for the possibility for some wind and some hail up to, in isolated places, up to around 1 inch in diameter. So threat passing through the Bismarck-Mandan area, threat passing through Washburn. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I am going to take a little bit of a breather and a break here. Storm is cycling, says Scott. Indeed. Let's take a look at the velocity on the Bismarck storm and up north again. And I just want to, before I leave, I want to get the Bismarck radar data loaded back up. Here we go. Shazam, shadizzle. Okay. So what we have is inflow toward the radar here in the greens. This is storm relative velocity, and outflow away. So that means we got wind coming in from the north and east. That's outflow from the thunderstorm north of Bismarck pushing in. Okay, so you've got the hail up on the north side of the interstate falling down. It's causing a gust of wind that's pushing down toward the interstate from the north side. And that's what we're seeing at the lowest levels of the atmosphere. That's storm relative velocity. And looking at straight velocity, we might be able to measure some of those winds. A lot of pretty interesting shapes going on here. Let's see what we got. Okay, the center area storm does have some evidence of a little bit of shear. Once again, in Oliver County. Just north of center right now, not strong. The warning says that this is for a severe thunderstorm warning for motion east at 22 miles per hour, and it's got 60 mile per hour gust potential as well. All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm not seeing the immediate risk of a, let's look in a little more closely before I say that. This storm still has a tornado possible tag. They have just updated the warning. Let's get you the very latest here. They shrunk off the part of the Morton County part of the storm as the threat is moving more into Burleigh County here. The warning continues for the next half hour, just over 2-inch diameter hail still possible along and north of Interstate 94 right now. But 2-inch hail is possible in the warned area. We could have some gusts of 60 miles per hour still from this storm as it works its way off to the east. Again, 22 miles per hour. So hail core has been moving east-southeast. You can see that kind of curve shape to it. So let's go ahead and time it out. It's mainly in rural parts of the county here and at that rate of speed to the south and east. It's basically going to stay north of Minokan and and the southern fringe of this could impact the I-94 corridor as you get into central parts of Burleigh County. So that's what's going on there. Wilton, you got some pretty good size hail potential in that storm making its way towards you. 1.25 inch diameter hail possible from that cell. Devil's Lake Basin, another check. Wells County. We do have, Sheridan County, McCluskey. That area has a kidney bean heading towards it over here. Another cell that's there now. This is the original storm that caused the warning. There's a new one starting up behind it in a training fashion that will be moving through the same areas with locally heavy rain and sizable hail. Looks to be on this cell north of Turtle Lake right now. So if you're in the Turtle Lake area, north of Turtle Lake, north of Mercer, those storms are meandering into northern parts of Sheridan County from McLean County right now. Those storms to the north of Harvey here, there's a cell that formed near Harvey that's moving towards Maddock. That still has that potential for some sizable hail. And we do have a history of hail on this cell here in the Martin area to Esmond. And the warning has been allowed to expire on that particular cell. So if you're in Bismarck, Mandan, I'm going to stick with you here. It's amazing how this storm has just kept this kept itself out of the Bismarck area. It's still taking the inflow in from the south, fueling an updraft that is maintaining a hail threat. And that's what's going on with this storm. There is a little hook shape forming on the west side, just on the Burleigh County side of the Missouri River Valley there in Bismarck. And that's what's going on there. Getting more data in on the old devices here. Let me see. I think I may have another photo uploaded. So thanks. And I promised you we'd look at that photo together. So I'm going to upload Hutch's photos here. And there's the Mamatis clouds from the Bismarck area that I promised we'd look at probably an hour ago. Thank you all for sharing your photos. This is what was coming from center when the tornado warning storm was in center. And this photo taken of the Mamatis clouds in northeast Bismarck. Thank you for sharing the photo here. No name associated with this one on that. I apologize for that, but I didn't catch it. Maybe you did not put it in the graphical user interface there, but I'm going to check that right now because I like to make sure I give you credit for the photos that you're uploading. I think there's another one here I'm going to double check. So that was Mamatis Clouds. That was uploaded by Ann Jeanette. Thank you very, very much for uploading that. And now we've got a photo from the Bismarck area of some more fun clouds working their way through the area. I'll approve that one. And we'll take a look at that right now too. So, some fun looking Mamatis clouds here on Hutch's Weather, and where you get to the viewer picks so you can upload them, click on the viewer picks section up there and you are all set on that. And I'm getting a call. Okay, so the viewer pictures section, if you click on it right here, you'll basically be taken to this page where you can take a look at the latest Mamatis shaped clouds and lumpy bumpies. It's kind of like fair weather cumulus clouds as opposed to straight out Mamatis clouds. As the storm's exiting at different speeds, it kind of stretches out a stratiform layer and we get these lumpy bumpy clouds up here, very similar to Mamatis clouds, but these are actually a stratus deck that's kind of breaking up into individual little puffy cumulus clouds. Very cool shot, and I really appreciate it, Darren. You're the most bestest, and I appreciate you uploading your photos. All right, I'm glad so far everything's okay. The storm in Washburn and Center, very strong, picking up some energy and some hail potential with it as it makes its way to the east. Harvey, north of you, we have a pretty stout storm. There's a warning on that now. That warning is in effect here. Now let me just double check that for you so you can see what I'm looking at. That warning is in effect for your area until 9:45. 1.25 inch diameter hail from that cell. The Bismarck cell that's working its way out of the Bismarck-Mandan area and into central parts of Burleigh County now has 2-inch diameter hail, a considerable damage threat. It remains north of the interstate right now. Not good for crops. Glad it missed the majority of the Bismarck-Mandan area with the big hail. We have a tornado warning storm heading towards Lake Oahe right now. This storm warning here from the National Weather Service forecast office in South Dakota says Swiftbird and Swiftbird Day School are all in the path of this storm. And I got something new. Tornado warning. Tornado warning has just been issued for the folks in the Devil's Lake Basin. So here we go back to Devil's Lake, the Harvey area. a tornado warning for the Harvey storm here. This storm's moving southeast. Let's get right to the latest from the Weather Service. Tornado warning for a radar indicated tornado and 1-inch diameter hail for the area in pink here. Let me clarify what direction this is moving here, because I'm looking at two different radar sources here. Okay. Let me let this loop. It's a confusing looking setup here. This storm is moving southeast. It's this cell here that's prompting the tornado warning. This one's moving towards Maddock. Maddock, you got hail. This is not the tornado warned storm. It's this big bad boy right here. A serious increase in the hail, meaning a serious increase in the updraft strength. This storm is moving southeast at 36 miles per hour. If you are in Harvey, rural parts of Wells County, if you are on the southern edges of also, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the velocity data here, because I do want to see if the rotation and where it is exactly, and I'll time it into Harvey. Okay, here it is. It's very stout, very strong. Let's see if the Mayville radar has a better look at it. This is coming from Bismarck. Let's go to the Deering radar. Pardon me while this loads up. I want to get the most accurate close data. We got very strong rotation on this cell here, and it's just north of Harvey right now. That rotation is going to cross and is crossing the Highway 3 corridor right now and is moving down into Wells County right now. There is an outflow boundary associated with this storm that's pushing some gusty winds. You may be seeing some ominous looking tail-looking clouds or a roll cloud working its way in. But this area right here, very strong motion towards Deering, very strong motion away from Deering, moving southeast. So if you're in the path of this storm, seek shelter on the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. If you happen to be out at a lake or anywhere at all, if you're camping at any park or otherwise, you need to start looking for sturdy structure. So a severe thunderstorm warning for you folks up here on the north side, a tornado warning for Harvey, and points south and east. Moving southeast at 36 miles per hour. Here's the leading edge of the storm, moving in the general direction of Fessenden. Here we go. So if you are in Harvey by 9:27, you have a couple of minutes. This storm will be very near you or points just north of town. And we also have it moving in towards Fessenden. And it looks like in 15-minute chunks, that's it's about 30 minutes from you folks in Fessenden here. At about 9:50 or so, it will be near you. Increasing velocity structure starting to show up on this cluster of storms moving through the McCluskey area as well. We'll keep our eyes on that, but that's from a radar quite far away. New tornado warning now has been added as the National Weather Service offices are working together on this storm. Now, to explain why we have two boxes. The National Weather Service Forecast Office in Bismarck issued this warning for the Harvey area in Wells County. They manage Wells County. The Grand Forks National Weather Service Office says we're going to also include our neighbors here in Benson County as well. So this is the tornado warned storm for Benson County as we take a look at that. So that's now included as well. Let's go ahead and take a look. Until 10 o'clock, hail upwards of 2 inches in diameter will be possible, and the rotating part of the storm you can see clearly is right here. It's going to skirt along the county line just like the one in Oliver County and Morton County did. Right here, Wells County, and you folks and also in the Benson County area here, not far from Maddock. This storm is moving to the east-southeast at 35 miles per hour. Very tight rotation with this one right here, evident on the Doppler radar. So tornado warnings for that storm right there as it continues its movement off to the south and east. Very, very interesting interaction here. We had a storm moving north towards Maddock, and we still do. And then we have this main monster that's come with a history of some pretty sizable hail, really increase in strength over the last couple of scans. So tornado warning, if you're in northern Wells County, Fessenden and Harvey, you're in the path of that storm. Thanks, Summer, asking about the Bismarck area. Bismarck, that storm is continuing to move out of the Bismarck area right now. I will switch the radar back over to your area, and we'll see and show you that the storm that's making its way out is basically All the winds I see with the storm, which is out here, are coming toward the radar. So we're getting an east wind, and then that's showing motion away from the radar. That's all unidirectional flow. That makes me feel pretty good about any tornado risk being minimized by that storm. Here is a look at that storm. It's staying north of the interstate right now as it exits the Bismarck area. There are still some in the metro area on the north side of the interstate here in northeast Bismarck here as you go out towards that, what is it, the Wilton area and Reagan, those areas. Seeing the storm moving out to the east at 25 to 30 miles per hour. The hail core remains up there. The hail risk remains to be quite strong. The warning is in effect for the next 18, 19 minutes or so, and 2-inch diameter hail will be possible from that cell. This one seems to be creeping along now out of center, moving in the general direction of areas south of Washburn. Hail core there capable of some sizable hail, again near center, moving east at 22 miles per hour with 60 mile per hour gust potential. So that's what we have going on. Let me take you back up into this area in and around Harvey. A tornado warning for the storm that is working its way in the general direction of Harvey. See the hail core there that's getting split in half? That's an interesting feature. Let me go back to the radar in Deering. It is closer. It will give me a better look at this cell. Okay, so here we go. We do have a cell with tight rotation right here on the county line, moving in to areas just north of Harvey right now. If you are in the warned area here, you should be seeking shelter and getting out of things like campers, RVs, tents, vehicles, and getting into sturdy structures right now. Batten down the hatches and also prepare for the sizable hail potential. Please make sure you're shutting your garage door when you put the vehicle into the garage as well. I do want to point out that the tornado warning for this area of the Benson County area is not for this storm right here. That's not the rotating part. That is a hail core part. Let me go back and verify this because storms can change. No rotation here. This is not rotating yet. The reason you're in a tornado warning is for this monster here. You see the blues in there? That's incredible motion outflow from the radar. And this is endearing. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. That is 80 mile per hour winds, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, 80, 90 mile per hour winds. So the shear in here is incredible. This one likely tornadoing. I'd be surprised if it's not producing a tornado capable of making its way down to the ground. 95, 100 mile per hour outflow winds away from the radar here. 113 mile per hour winds away from the radar north of Harvey right now. So this is terribly strong outflow, terribly tight rotation with this storm, and that rotating couplet part of the storm, there's 113 mile per hour winds blowing away from the radar next to slower wind right here. So this is blowing toward the radar and Deering. This is clockwise circulation just north of Harvey. The counterclockwise circulation is right here, moving along the county line here and in towards that Benson County area. So unbelievable wind gust potential is going to be capable from this storm north of Harvey as we work our way through. When we look at straight velocity data, let's go back to this. Hi, Pedro. So what we're looking at on the straight velocity data, we're seeing 60 mile per hour wind gust potential with the storm, but the storm relative motion on this is having the shear upwards of incredible values. So that's a pretty stout storm. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let me go ahead and take a look with you at some other details within this particular strong storm here. I'm going to load up what's called the correlation coefficient, CC. I call it target similarity. When we have debris lofted up in the air, it's not the same shape as a round hailstone. It's not the same shape as a pancaked raindrop is. So it's going to have different types of reflectivity from a horizontal pulse versus the vertical pulse that is sent out by the Doppler radar. If those come out quite similar, high similarity is red, that means we have a lot of hailstones or golf balls or similar targets. This is low similarity in the area of that clockwise rotation right here. There could be a signature here of some stuff in the air. Hey, Sean Iverson, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for saying howdy. Let me go ahead and look at another product called target differences. ZDR is what us meteorologists call it. We're looking for reds here. It's in the same daggone spot. So here we have high differences in targets here. We have where we see some gray here might indicate some pretty good hail potential if I go back to the regular radar display here. And yeah, there is some really good hail potential here as we go in towards southern parts of Benson County. And as the storm is exiting, you folks up here as well, we're seeing the storms. Boy, I got to tell you what, there's some pretty big hail here. A big hook echo right here, rotation evident here, some clockwise rotation evident here, likely as a result of what's going on with this wrapping around of the flow and that outflow coming out the other side. Is Jamestown going to hit? Family lives there. Katie, thanks for your question. It's going to be a while before the James River Valley sees the storm. I believe I was talking about 11 o'clock at night before they do. There's some redevelopment of storms here, a lot of lightning going on. Those could pulse up. Right now, here are the active warnings. Bismarck, storm exiting your area, heading into central Burleigh County, still has the capability of 1-inch diameter hail. The rotation, at last look, was falling apart with that storm. That's good news. Still some heavy rain. Notice no blues in that right now. The hail core has collapsed a little bit for now. Washburn, up in Oliver County, getting ready to cross over into, well, basically the McLean County area here shortly. A slow-moving 22-mile-per-hour hail core is making its way along and south of Washburn to the east. And then in northern parts of Sheridan County, I do believe we do have a fairly healthy hail core on this cell here. No active warning on that cell right now, but it is a strong one heading its way across the county there. Checking in on my streams. Kevin Kuntz, aerial photography. Are we thinking for Grand Forks tonight? I will go. I think that this storm activity that you see in the Devil's Lake Basin is going to continue to the south and to the east. I am seeing evidence of some development up near Grafton, so this is non-severe right now. Our temperatures today, our energy in the atmosphere was a lot lower on the eastern side of the state. Therefore, when we look at the Storm Prediction Center's risk of severe weather in our area, seems like I got more information coming in, that essentially the energy here in the atmosphere in the eastern third of North Dakota, not quite as high. New image and data coming in, so pardon me while I get caught up. Always important for information to come in. I've got like 4 screens in front of me and a cell phone, and everything's talking to me. So we do have a lower risk here. I do not want to leave the Harvey area in the middle of a tornado warning here, because this storm with the tight rotation is now just you can see the little hole in the storm right here. That is the likely area of the tornado. As the crow flies from Harvey, we can take that, and it is just off to the north and east of you by, you can kind of read it, 6.7 miles. We can expect hail upwards of 1¼ inches in diameter, and we can expect some gusts of wind from this up 60 miles per hour, and tight rotation evident with the storm as it works its way through. Let me check with the Weather Service and see what the Grand Forks office is hearing. I'm not seeing anything from the Bismarck office. No reports yet. Okay. Thanks so much, National Weather Service. You're doing a great job of keeping us all informed about what's going on. Again, the Jamestown area's timing is going to be somewhere around 11 to midnight, and then Grand Forks midnight for the main line of storms that are moving through. You might get some schmutz coming through a little bit earlier that's not organized right now. But again, that's what's going on. Okay, I'm not seeing any tornado posts here with regards to that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this storm in detail once again. And I did get a couple of photos coming in, so I should effort to look at those. And why not take a look at what's going on outside right now. So here's a look from our friends at the DOT site. We're going to go right into the area affected here in the Fessenden area we can see. And let's take a look from the, I don't know if we'll see from the north side of the storm, but we'll try. Let's see if there's hail popping at this one. We got some very heavy rain. It's very blurry out there. You can't see much. And There is the edge of the storm that you're looking at from the Esmond area. Okay, now as we go down south of Esmond just a little bit here and get a little bit closer to Harvey, let's go to the Fessenden one. Between Fessenden and Harvey, oh, golly, look at this. Okay, so here you've got just this amazing structure on this tornado warned storm here. This is from Fessenden looking toward the storm. Fessenden, you are in the tornado warning. So this is off in the distance from your area. Look at the colors interacting, the sun setting behind it. So this must be looking out to a westerly direction. We do have some low clouds hanging off of that puppy. And again, another look. Okay, taking it all in. Here's what we got. Updraft part of the storm looking in that direction. Downdraft part of the storm over here where you see no daylight behind it. And this would be the area. Now you even see some ugly looking clouds right here in small detail on this particular image from the DOT camera there, but a lot of interesting looking clouds in and around Fessenden as we look back towards Harvey in particular and out to the west of you where the storms are coming from. So that's what's going on there. Let's go ahead and take a look at another site because we have storms making their way through and out of the Bismarck area now. Let's get to Burley. Oop, that's Dickinson. Whoop, that's way out there, folks. I'm sorry. Here's a look at Burley County at the rest area. This is off the east of town. You see the edge of the cloud, the tail end of the cloud, the updraft part. No rain coming out of that puppy right now on that side of it. Looking to the other side of the interstate, likely to the east-southeast, I'm not seeing much that's useful on that particular view. This is what's coming toward the county line at Kidder County as the storms are making their way towards you. Darkening skies, sun setting behind it, and you can see all the black in the sky that's heading in towards Kidder County coming up here shortly. That hailstorm has lost a little punch though, and I'm hopeful that it will stay that way. Looking down south, let's see if we can see what it looks like to the north, and that's Hazelton, likely looking north on 83 as we look up toward the area around the Hazelton area. That's what's going on. And now let's get out towards McCluskey and see what you got going on because there is a mean storm heading in that area. Boy, that looks like a crop that might have gotten beat up a little bit there. I'm not sure about that. Here's a look at the sunlight out to the west behind the storm. You can see sunlight behind the storm. That's the updraft part there. And then the downdraft part over here where you see nothing behind the storm. So that area is the Denhoff area looking around its region. Stormy weather across North Dakota tonight, moving out of central North Dakota, heading into the eastern third of the state. If you happen to be up in the Minnewacan area, let's take a look from Devil's Lake and see what's coming here across the lake. Darkening skies, we're looking at the water, and so far, so good right there in that part. Now as we get down towards... Oh, let's go and see if we can get closer to Maddock here. I'm not seeing one. New Rockford, let's go with that one and look north. Okay, so here's what it looks like from the New Rockford view along the Highway 281 corridor there. And looking around, I'm seeing, well, there is a thunderstorm right off in the distance there. But again, the cameras here are mainly used for monitoring what we would call road conditions in the winter, but sometimes Hutch can sneak a peek at some activity that's helpful and beneficial to us in covering severe weather. Tornado warning does continue for areas near Harvey and northern parts of Wells County and southern parts of Benson County, and that is until 9:45 for the next 11 minutes. It's moving southeast at 36 miles per hour. Heimdall, Manfred, near Harvey, Walsburg, and Sells, all in the path of the storm, according to the National Weather Service. Do you see the little hook taken out of this one now in McCluskey, north of McCluskey? This storm, let's see if it has some shear or spin in it as we look at the storm relative velocity from it. And yes, there is some spin in this storm near McCluskey as well. You can see the colors are very similar, so it's almost equal as far as how strong it is. But this one was stronger earlier with the shear moments ago. So it's not saying that the warning is done. There's still some shear and it's still a dangerous storm. You should be seeking shelter. The location of the tornado is right here where you see the greens and the reds next to each other. It's basically north and east of Harvey, moving southeast. This is moving southeast in the general direction of Fessenden, but will likely stay in areas just north of Fessenden in rural northern parts of Wells County. So it does look like the rotating part of this storm is staying just on the outside or south side of the Benson County area here. That's good for you. A little bit of rotation in McCluskey. Let's see what the weather service from Bismarck says here. 1-inch hail. Indicated by Doppler radar. 60-mile-per-hour winds, the main threat from that particular storm. Looking in on the storm in Bismarck, I'm going to switch back to the Bismarck radar. At low levels of the atmosphere, we're looking at pretty unidirectional flow here. And we get to this storm, we're seeing some of that outflow again. This hail-producing storm has caused a gust of wind to burp out of the storm on the south side of center, and it's moving through southern Oliver County once again. Remember, just like the path of this storm right here. So this will move and into northwestern parts of Morton County. And the warning for the south side of the county here is for 2.5-inch diameter hail. And it's only moving at 18 miles per hour. Is it Grand Forks going to get anything? Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here with the Forks and with the area in eastern North Dakota. I'm going to pull up just the standard radar view so you can see where things are. And I'll give you a timeline here. And then when the tornado warnings are all expired, I will get off for my break because I need to take one here and get some water and hydration. Let's take a look here at what we got going on. So the line of storms here is moving generally southeasterly. So if you're in Grand Forks, we do have a couple of cells forming up here. They're not necessarily severe. They're in an environment that could bring an isolated severe. The main event is here. It's moving east. It's only moving at a southeast and east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So we can go ahead and draw lines. And let me do this in a couple of different areas here. So we'll draw a line here. Oopsies. I'm going to draw it a long ways. There's 240 miles away, and that's the Cass County area near the Brainerd Lakes area. Okay, so now what Hutch is going to do is I'm going to get my pencil out. And as we take a look, about 30-mile increments, it's going to move 30 miles in an hour. So I will do my best to draw lines here. Okay, let me erase that one. So it's here. It's moving in this general direction. So as we go towards about 1040, it'll be here. Okay. And I did say earlier about 11 for Jamestown. I think that might be right for you, but there's more storms following this up out there near the center area, so keep that in mind. Then as we draw it out another 30 miles or so, we're going to be looking at a line here for about the midnight time frame. Valley City, midnight. And Grand Forks from this same line, if it hits you, might be midnight to 1 a.m., and that's through Valley City and heading into the western reaches of Cass County, and then 2 a.m. if it keeps going, and beyond that into Lakes Country in Minnesota. It's going to be hours before it reaches that western Minnesota area at this time. So that's what we have going on. Again, if you are in the Harvey area, tornado warning has been issued for this storm. It's moving in the general direction of areas north of Fessenden at this time. Thanks, Sean, for your support of stars as well. Okay, now let me go ahead and get back to the single site radar data here. I got to put my crayon back in the box. I'm going to try to. And I got to put my line drawer away too. I talk to myself too much sometimes, but my apologies for that. Okay, here we go. The storm in Sheridan County has prompted a warning from the National Weather Service again. As we were talking about, it looked pretty stout, a little bit of shear on it, 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Huge hail in this storm working its way out of Oliver County, south of Washburn. This one could be producing 2.5-inch diameter hail. There is a little hook on the south side of that storm. That one's going to take a very similar track, but not quite as far south as the last one. If you are in Wilton, if you're in Regan, if you're in Wing, please be prepared for another round of hail-producing storms in, rural parts of Burleigh County, north of the Bismarck area. Devil's Lake, you have some thunderstorms heading in your area. They are not severe, and this is from the Bismarck radar, so it looks a lot cluttered as we take a look there. Let's go to the Mayville radar for the Devil's Lake Basin here and see if I can hop to that one now. Okay, so we do have a line of thunderstorms. Notice there's not the pink and blues in it here that we're seeing from some of these others. So the hail threat not there with these storms. They're non-severe right now. I'll keep my eyes on them. Rotating thunderstorm with tight rotation moving into northern Wells County and along the Benson County line here. No reports of anything at this particular time from those cells as they're working their way southeast into northern Wells County. Likely there are some eyes on it. Let me take a look at the National Weather Service feed and see. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the there we go, Bismarck area. So, okay, I'm not seeing any more feedback from the Bismarck National Weather Service site here. I wonder if something has gone wrong with my feed. Nope, it's still open. Okay, it's been a lot of silence from the Bismarck office here as of late. And the last update here was just a little bit ago. So, okay, yeah, I think we're pretty good with our update here. How about the Carrington area? Yeah, the storms are going to be moving down into your neck of the woods here shortly. There's one south of you forming in the Woodworth area. That storm is moving more northeast, so this one will skirt just south of you. It's just now forming, and it's moving in a general direction towards Carrington. So if you are in, Foster and Eddy counties, these counties are going to see this line moving in your general direction. Look at the hook near Fessenden. You see that little notch right there? Let me take another look at the velocity on that puppy because that looks oddly a little bit like what we would call a debris ball. The tornado warning was just allowed to expire for Wells County. And so that's because it was set to expire at 9:45. And as I take a look at the velocity, this is from Mayville, just verifying that. Yep. From Mayville, we have motion away and then motion towards. Not super duper strong. The tornado warning does continue for areas of Benson County until 10 o'clock for an additional 15 minutes. Now this is not, well, there is some shear toward the radar here and shear away here. So there's a little clockwise spin there. Not necessarily what we'd be looking for a tornado warned storm. And there might be some spin or shear on this other side of the storm there. So the threat does continue for southern Benson County, and 2-inch diameter hail possible from that cell as it works its way south of Maddock right now. That's moving east-southeast right along the county line there. That is not heading towards Fort Totten or Minnewacan as of this time, but this whole line is moving to the south and east. These lines out near Bismarck are moving east, and it'll be quite a bit yet before things work their way, pardon me, into our area here in the valley. Whether you're in Jamestown, where we have a few storms in the northern part of the county trying to stretch your way. I'm going to turn the velocity data back to the radar in Bismarck and look. Now, I do see a good old-fashioned gust front blowing out of the storm, what we call a rear flank downdraft outflow part of the storm right here, moving through southern Oliver County right now, working its way out to areas north of Bismarck. So some shear on that storm there, some shear on the storm that's making its way through the McCluskey area, areas north of McCluskey. There's some rotation right here on that cell. It's moving east at about 30 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. And 1-inch hail and some maybe increasing rotation on it. Let's go double Doppler and see what this one's showing up here from Deering. Is it showing and confirming that rotation? Yes, it is. Motion towards the radar and away. So there is some spin in that cell that's working its way. It's basically just north of Goodrich on Highway 14 here, crossing over that area, rural parts of the Sheridan County area right now. So that is a look at what's going on right now. As far as the tornado threat, the tornado watch does remain in effect for the areas that you'll see here shortly that are highlighted in the red until 1 o'clock this morning. So this does include Langdon, Devil's Lake, Grand Forks, Fargo. We're not in the tornado watch. The tornado threat out in the Dickinson area, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't look like it's still going to be live. But let me go ahead and take a look at the big radar picture now. As we take a look at what's going on out in Montana, there's some more storms coming out. Yeah, no, out to the west, the main event is crossing out of your area. We do have some storms moving out of Montana from Miles City. Even the stuff that was out there near the Fort Peck Reservoir has collapsed and burped some wind out here as it worked its way through Wolf Point. with a 52-mile-per-hour gust, and the storms heading into Miles City have fallen apart. If you're down here near the Mitchell Corn Maze, you got a Boeing line segment with very strong gusty winds produced by this storm, a history of 75-mile-per-hour winds there. 3/4-inch diameter hail, 71-mile-per-hour winds as the storm moved through areas north of Platte. So these storms here capable of some rocking winds moving into Armour now, Corsica now, and on towards Mitchell here shortly. The Boeing part here is where the strongest winds usually end up being. So this area here near Armour, Geddes, and Lake Andes would have the best chance at seeing some of those very, very gusty straight line winds in South Dakota. Pierre, Capital City, gusty storms moving towards Oneida, Gettysburg. These storms capable of gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour. Tornado possible tag on this particular storm from the National Weather Service because of the environment we're in. And the storm to the south on Lake Oahe, north of Pierre here, showing 1-inch hail potential and gusts to 60, moving towards South Dakota's capital city right now. Near Eagle Butte, a measured wind of 45-mile-per-hour winds from that storm. So that's what we have going on. The tornado warning has been allowed to be expired in Benson County. Prepare for hail. Areas south of Maddock, it's moving east-southeast, 36 miles per hour. A rotating thunderstorm in Sheridan County now. I will keep my eyes on for now. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I will be monitoring the system. I am going to take a brief break here. I'll be back as these storms approach with updates right here on this Friday night. Remember, you can upload your photos to hutchesweather.com with details about what's happening in your neck of the woods. Any information from you is very much appreciated. Speaking of hutchesweather.com, without my fine sponsors, it wouldn't be possible. And I got to take a moment to thank my good friend, Dumb Blazers Painting. Dumb Blazers Painting, they have a logo on the bottom. Now, they are in Lakes Country, but they serve the tri-state area. Interior, exterior painting, professional, bonded, insured, and they can get the job done for you. Give them a call, tell them Hutch sent you, and ask them about the Hutch discount, okay? Give them a call if you have a project in need of doing as far as painting is concerned. For now, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thanks for watching this version of Hutch's Weather. I'll keep you updated right here throughout the evening. Follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. Hail the size of baseballs hitting central North Dakota. These storms heading our way. The risk of hail will decrease a bit as far as size goes, but gusty winds and hail still a possibility in the eastern third of North Dakota tonight.